Hey everyone, how's everyone doing? Welcome to Vote Chess. We are finally playing our third match with ChessPatzerUK. Got GM Jesse with us, and we actually already have our first poll up on our first move. I don't know if we'll get white or black. I think we're gonna randomize the game as soon as the challenge comes in, but we can have our first move ready. So let us know. You can vote either by typing exactly e4, d4, c4, knight f3, or you can just type 1, 2, 3, 4 in the chat. And it should update it. Although I'm seeing votes, and I'm not sure if I'm seeing them counted. It's updating. Good. Oh yeah, actually it's supposed to show the number of votes as well. That's weird that it's not doing that.
You ready to hear something amazing?
Yeah.
So I considered this a rubber match because they won the first one, we won one, and then I got it into my head. I was like, I got to look that up, buddy. Why is it called a rubber match? Do you have any idea?
No, I never knew.
Okay, the word's origins can be traced back to the 1600s, and it was a reference to when you're playing like lawn bowling, and you it would be rolling these wooden balls down the yard, and a fatal mistake occurred if two balls rubbed together, thus eliminating one team. Oh my god. So, I still don't quite get it, but it goes back to two wooden balls rubbing together. Yeah. Does that really make sense? It does not a great explanation, honestly. I need a better one than that, because, like, why would the third game be the rubber? What does it
Right.
mean?
Yeah, where's the rubber coming from? Oh, there it is. There's the...
It definitely comes from the fact that two wooden balls rubbed against one another.
Oh, is it not... Is it the rubbing? Is that where the rubber comes from? It's not
Yes,
even...
the rubbing. It's like you're doing this bowling, kind of like bocce ball,
Right.
and yeah, because you got eliminated. There was like a thing where you got eliminated if it was a rubber. And so the final game, like this is the rubber match. It doesn't necessarily have to be our final game, but the idea would be the tiebreaker is the rubber. So somebody's going to get rubbed out because their balls rub together. Yeah. So don't rub your balls together, buddy. Don't rub your balls together. Are you live here?
We
Are
are...
you live?
We are live.
Because I wasn't seeing us yet, but here we go. Oh, I think there we are.
I'm just
There we
struggling
go.
with
Good.
the poll. It's killing me.
Are they online yet?
They are online. I think we are about to get the challenge going. It's just my poll is all messed up and I can't resize it.
I've got a good idea. I need to. What I'm gonna try to do. We are now.
You know
We're
what?
just Chess Dojo
Oh,
on.
there we go. Yeah, I think I need to refresh because of the chess.com server reset, and then let's do a challenge versus ChessPatzerUK. Random color and 50, 50. Oh, I think I'm not connected yet.
Oh, to the ChessDojo. I was wondering about that. I tried to add ChessDojo as a friend on chess.com.
Yeah, thanks everyone who's here. I see a lot of strong players in the chat.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay, I'm guessing the vote is over. Did you vote, Jesse? I'm voting.
I haven't voted, but I'm okay with that. D4 looks fine with me. We also don't know what color we're going to be.
That's true. Yeah, this is just like a predetermined polls because it might we got to make a move in the first like minute, I think, and so it's easier to just vote on the first move ahead of time. So we're playing D4 if we're white. Let me finish the poll and let me put up a poll on about black again. So let's say they play E4. If they go D4, we'll figure it out.
I'm seeing Mitch. I'm seeing Pulsey Dulcie. I'm seeing Vintage Watch Point. We got all kinds of cool people in here. All right. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, all the classics. All right, so for E4, I'm going to put up E5, C5, your favorite French, E6, and I guess we'll throw in D6 if we really want to. And so we'll vote in case we get black. All right, let's try another refresh. Feel like we're still not connected.
Yeah, like chess.com, something's going on with chess.com. While Koz is doing that, I should say chess.com is like resetting their server or something like that, and that's why we're taking a little bit longer to connect.
That's right. Yeah, just against E4, Sunny. Oh, I should have made that clear, but that's okay. You guys understand.
If we're playing black, we had that nice E5 game against them last time. Honestly, I think we should win no matter what. I think we should beat these guys no matter what, man. I'm still sore about that first game. Whew, man.
Yeah, that was a tough one. Yeah, and ever since then we've been on the comeback trail. But I believe in us. I believe in the dojo.
Oh, here's a problem that we might want to solve now. Do I need to log out of the ChessDojo account so that you can type your own poll? Or
yeah, we'll only be able to vote once from that account. So if you want your vote to count, yeah.
It's the problem. I often don't do it. I don't log out. Is it can be very difficult to log back in. That's why. All right, here. Let's go here. Log in. Oh, see, now I gotta go get my phone. All right, see, because they always send me this like thing on my phone. Anyways, I'll be right back.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. We are still just waiting on the server here. Let's see. Looks like Sicilian is crushing. Yeah, I feel like for these vote chess things, Sicilian is always the winner because I guess the E4 E5s and the E4 E6s are split, and all the Sicilians they group together, right? This is why more than a two-party system will never work. It's people just clump together. You know, that's exactly why. How was the sound, by the way, guys? Was the sound good? There's me, there's Jesse, and then there's the music. So hopefully me and Jesse are about even, and the music is a soft undertone in the background. For white, we've decided that we'll be playing d4. And if they're white, we don't know what they'll play. They played e4 last time, but they might go for like d4 and some Trompowsky or whatever random stuff. So we'll have to just figure it out. Excuse me.
All right, I think I'm in, so I can vote as myself.
Nice.
Sicilian won? What the hell? Who voted for the Sicilian, man?
Oh
no.
I was just explaining, Jesse, that this is why, you know, you need a two-party system, because the e4 e5s and the e4 e6s, they split the vote. And Sicilian is well, Sicilian is a lot of openings. There's Najdorf, Dragon. All right, we'll do a vote for d4 since we have the time. Two options here, guys. Two options.
Just two? What are you gonna do? What do you mean just two?
I just don't know of any other moves after.
Well, you know, you got d4 e6. You got d4 e6. That's a fine move. But okay, fair enough. Knight f6 d5.
I think in theory, this is what we're voting on. Either a knight f6 kind of line or a d5 kind of line.
Fair enough, yeah. You know what? All of my chess life, it had never really been clear to me that against d4 there's only two responses. You know, obviously there's other moves that are playable, but it'd be interesting to look in the database and see exactly. But I think you're right. It's basically one of those two flavors.
Yeah.
That's right. I was trying to sneak that French in.
There's still time. Well, you know, we can always push for an e6 Sicilian, Taimanov, a Khan.
Well, right, that'll be a big debate. You know, I feel happy anything we're gonna do. I do think that these guys, if we play a slow maneuvering game, I feel like these guys will self-implode because they can't play normal chess. But if we get a wild position, even if we're better, I think they have a chance. That's why I don't want it to go down some weird Sicilian rabbit hole. That's what I'm afraid of. Just any kind of rabbit hole in general. I want it to be nice and solid, and I don't think they can play move for move against us. But in some, like in that first game, we just had a lapse in a dramatic position, and then it was over.
Yeah, definitely kind of self-destructed there. I mean, they found some really good defensive moves, but yeah, we kind of forced them into it. And yeah, looking back at it now, kind of more objectively, yeah, I don't think that game was that hard for black, and so they, yeah, just found all the right moves, and we were done. So yeah, we just got to be a little bit more careful, like we were in game 2. I think we were really like keeping everything under control.
I'm a friend of the Taimanov. That would be fun if we end up getting that. In my lifetime, what have I done? I've done Scheveningen, I've done Taimanov, I've done Dragon Accelerated. I've tried all those things.
Nice. And we got Mitch in the chat, so he knows everything about the Taimanov. He's read the entire GM repertoire book.
I think we should just have Mitch play our opening now. So Mitch can guide us out of the opening. We've got no problem.
Yeah, now let's be clear on the rules, guys. Obviously, we don't want any of you to be using like assistants of any form. That means engines, books. I guess that's it. If Yeah, if you already know something though, then you're allowed to share that knowledge. Like if you're already familiar with a position, you're like, well, I know this is the best move there. Then absolutely, you're allowed to share that knowledge with the chat. But yeah, definitely no outside help. I'm just like terrified that like one day we're gonna have one of these matches and then someone is gonna be like, oh, the engine eval is this. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like,
Well,
ruined.
Mitch has a chip, a chessable chip implanted in his brain, and that's kind of cheating, but I think it's allowed.
Yeah, when you get to like legend status, they give you a searchable chip. Oh, Sonny did the Trompowsky chessable course. That's good. Let's see, do we have any other specialists in the chat? I know Pulsey is a big Karo specialist. Might not get a Karo, but it's good to have our bases covered. I'll handle all of the King's Indian positions if we need.
Yeah, it still looks like chess.com is toast.
Yeah, you're not able to connect either, right?
No.
Okay. Maybe I'll ask them on Slack, see what's up. Because if it's gonna be like an hour, then we're gonna have to go to another site that allows us to play chess.
Or we just shoot the breeze for a little bit too. We went shoot the breeze anyway. But I guess we can't we can't get an analysis board up. We could, we could go to Lead Chess and do it there. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean if their server is down. Let me ask Simon real quick.
That's funny. Simon's my go-to guy too. Oh, I got something I want to ask you actually. I'll ask Simon, dude. Let me ask. I want to ask you something now that we have a little moment because this is be good. Other people would be in this. I know that you are much more fluent in this than I am, and I tried to understand it, but it was too complicated for me. Too much of a rabbit hole. Give me the Kostya Kavutsky breakdown of the Reddit storm.
Yeah, we got to talk about Reddit. Thank you. Oh my god, what has been happening on Reddit? Oh, and it looks like chess.com is actually back. Oh man, that's a shame.
Okay, I see you. Yeah.
Well,
ChessDojo.
let me try to send them a challenge, and then yeah, we'll definitely talk about it when we have a moment.
Did you know that they have a ChessDojo listed as British? You need to change our. We're playing the Brits. What's going on there?
I have no idea why that's happening. Let me see if I can. Maybe someone pranked us. I don't know. I definitely don't remember selecting England. But yeah, let's send them a challenge. Okay, random 50.
I think you may, after we talk about it, maybe you should do another vid. Do a vid on the Reddit storm.
Yeah, maybe I will.
People were excited about it, man. They were losing their minds. It was hard to imagine that it was that. Whatever, like I kind of understood maybe what it was about, but I didn't understand why it got people up in so much of an uproar,
Yeah, I think it was just the abuse of power by the head mod, no sure.
Our nationality is American. However, on chess.com it has us listed as British, which is weird. I think we can change that at some point.
Yeah. Here, I can.
Okay, so Pulsine is in a little bit in on the Reddit storm too. So this dude. So the only post I read was a little bit from the guy, and now let me just ask you. So what does a Reddit mod get to do? He gets to decide if a post should be taken down or something? Or
Yeah, they basically choose what gets to stay up and not, because they have some rules.
uh-huh.
Um, and yeah, basically, let's see, what are the main rules? You know, it has to be related to chess, and they actually have some specific rules too. Like, you're not allowed to just post like a rating chart, like, oh, look how much I went up in rating recently. They're like, don't post that here, post that on r/achievement picks, which I think makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, like, okay, people gain rating all the time. It's gonna like flood the Reddit site if everyone is constantly posting their rating achievements. So it's, yeah, it has to be a puzzle, some kind of chess position, and I think their main metric is that it has to offer some kind of useful chess insight. So they do, I think, delete a lot of posts that are either maybe like gossip or rumors or speculation. If it's a drama that involves some top player, like let's say a Hikaru or like a Magnus, I think they just leave it up because chess news, people are always interested in that. Yeah, but lately it seems like, well, the mods were accused of having chess.com bias, which is kind of funny because most of the posts on Reddit are actually usually favoring Lichess. Like, the people on Chess Reddit prefer Lichess to chess.com. That much is very clear. But yeah, the mods were accused of deleting some posts that show chess.com in a negative light, that show chess.com people in a negative light. ChessBay is considered kind of like a chess.com person. Whether they work for chess.com or not officially is kind of unclear. But yeah, there are some posts attacking ChessBay and accusing them of being toxic and manipulative and stuff. And I think those were deleted. And then people just turned on the mods because they were like, why are all these posts just getting deleted all of a sudden? And then two of the mods got kicked off. One of them was like, yeah, I don't think these posts should have been deleted, and then all of a sudden they weren't a mod anymore. And so yeah, this guy No Shirt removed all the other mods, which is a big red flag. And now there's all these posts. I mean, the community is just turned on him. They're holding a mutiny. They're just making all of these posts like he should step down, he should resign. And his latest move, the mod, has been to restrict the subreddit. So now every post that is submitted has to be manually reviewed. Normally it's kind of like automatically put up and then the mods will take something down if they have a problem with it. Here he now gets to manually review whatever he wants. Oh hey, Neil M. Barker, we are ready. Actually, we just don't know the username to send the challenge. ChessPatzerUK Twitch. All right, awesome. Here we go. Okay, just sent the challenge, so we will be starting momentarily. I think the poll is ready. We did lose Jesse, but he'll be back. Thanks, Neil. So yeah, there are other subreddits that I think are like popular. You know, Anarchy Chess is a fun one. Free Press Chess looks fun. Tournament Chess might be good for like more serious players. Oh, did I mute our call? Let me just try calling Jesse back. Jesse, I don't know what's happening. It just says you're it's just giving you a, it says you're not like connecting or something. So obviously I'm on the side of the people when it comes to chess Reddit. I like the chess subreddit, you know, it's fun. I felt like they mostly got it right with the whole Ben Feingold and Naka stuff for the most part. But it is quite big. I mean, there is going to be a sense of when it gets too big, and then there will be very few discussions that really develop because it will just be kind of flooded with many different posts. So yeah, I think it's absolutely fine to have like a separate subreddit for maybe tournament players or casual players. I think the split between tournament and casual makes sense. Nosher posted to mod support, said that his subreddit was under. Yeah, we need the federal government of Reddit to step in and take Nosher out. He's essentially become a dictator, it seems. Yeah, I don't know why they haven't accepted the challenge yet. Oh, here we go. All right, guys, we are off. Jesse is still trying to reconnect. Hopefully we'll get him soon. Okay, we got e4 on the board. What do we decide here? Sicilian, right? All right, we'll get the next poll ready. We'll see what they come up with. There's knight f3, there's knight c3. There's d4. Now, if they go d4, if they go Smith-Morra, guys, I strongly recommend we... Not really letting me make arrows. Oh, I might not have broadcaster privileges. Hold on, guys. Let me reach out to the Slack folks once again. Maybe my Discord is being weird. Sorry, Jesse, let me try to figure this out. I feel like I'm also... Okay, let's close this guy. Yeah, I think my Discord is actually just like freaking out. So I'm gonna restart. And let me refresh the page here. I think I might be able to get some arrows. No, no arrows yet. Yeah, Discord is being weird. Sorry, guys. A lot of tech difficulties today. All right, we have arrows. And I think we're going to get Jesse back in a sec. Hey, Jesse, I see you.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yes, sounds good.
All right, good.
All right, we got knight f3 on the board. We're going to vote for d6, e6, and knight c6. Does that sound good?
Sure.
All right, here we go, guys. Pulls up. Oh, I think your vote.
A6 is not a move.
I think you voted right before the poll went up, so it might not have counted.
I did a second vote.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I'll go for e6 as well. And so yeah, we have a little bit more time in this match. 50 minutes to start, 50-second increment. I think we're both happy to have a little bit extra breathing room. And so I think once it gets down, we'll try to vote in about like maybe 50 seconds to a minute and a half. Try to keep that as the move. Okay, looks like e6 is gonna win.
Yeah, I played this, what was it, 2004 US Championship. It's funny, on my Wednesday show, I'm doing a thing about the game. I played with Yermo in a different US Championship. Also a draw with Yermo. I had black in this, and he played like a variation with c4. It was like d4 takes, knight takes d4, knight c6, c4. Which is, totally a thought. I doubt, though, that ChessPatzerUK is going to do it. No, they're not going to play that way. I think the English attack is the most testing here for this particular position. I think that's why it hasn't been seen maybe at the absolute top recently. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, Kostya.
Well, yeah, first let me say thank you, Coolest Blue, for the bits. The support is very much appreciated. I think lately the Taimanov has been, the main lines have been in the bishop e3 and queen f3 system, or the main topical high-level games. I think the g3 system is also making a bit of a comeback right now. But yeah, it's mainly been the bishop e3, queen f3 stuff for the last couple of years.
Okay, yeah. But there's no one super strong playing it, right? I mean, that's part of the reason that Taimanov's had a hard time as well.
Yeah, it had a couple of, proponents, like Geary was playing it for a while. I think Shankland has used it. But I haven't seen, I think maybe even Fabi had played it a couple of times, even though as a white, he's pretty deadly against the Sicilian. But Magnus, I haven't seen. I think Magnus has only been e4, e5 guy, and of course the Sveshnikov.
Right. This is actually how I evolved into a French player, was that I played the Scheveningen, and then there's a lot of ways to kind of get French-ish positions from playing this move order. But the Scheveningen got destroyed by the Keres attack. Like, I was getting hammered. I was getting, like, absolute hammered. And that's how it all happened, dude. That's how it happened. And then it was then after you play this for a while, you get so many French positions in like the sidelines that it's just then it starts to feel natural.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I felt really comfortable being a French player going to Rui Lopez and then to the Taimanov because, yeah, all of these Grand Prix lines where black can just play like d5 under good circumstances. And yeah, I felt really
Right.
comfortable. And it's one thing that's actually can be hard to teach students if they play a certain opening but they've never played the French or a specific kind of position. You tell them it's a good version, but they don't really feel that themselves. So they still have some understanding to accomplish there. Yeah, Kara's attack is really tough. Back rank brawler. I saw your blog with the analysis. I thought it was great. Unfortunately, we have a hard time with links in the chat. I'm just gonna play c takes d4. I don't think we have to vote on this one.
There we go.
And then we'll vote on the next move, knight c6 or a6
or knight f6. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Such a trick line. I mean, we can still play the 4 knights with knight c6 if we want to. So if you want to play the 4 knights Sicilian, you can vote knight c6. Yeah, and exactly, guys. You can look up Backrank Brawler on chess.com to see his blog. Kind of a good example of how you want to do a game analysis. Like he input his own thoughts. He actually input some of my thoughts because the game was on the ladder stream yesterday. And then he added some engine thoughts, I believe, as well, kind of on top of everything, kind of like 3 different layers of chess analysis. I don't know if you've ever seen those like videos on YouTube or Jesse or anyone in the chat, but I like seeing they have these videos where they'll take a dish, and then they'll have it like prepared by like an amateur chef. And like a home cook and then like a professional chef, and then you'll see like the three ways they prepare the same kind of entree. So I always think that stuff's interesting with chess. Like if you take like a 1600, a 2400, and 3300, and how they approach the position.
All right, sure. Let's vote for knight c6. This is actually a good example of how stuff has changed in my lifetime. I read a book when I was a kid, and it was by Kasparov, and it was knight f6, knight c3, d6, and Kasparov didn't understand at that point how powerful Gary the G-pawn was. So it goes knight f6, knight c3, d6, g4, and black, as far as I can tell now, is clearly worse, maybe lost. But at the time, it was kind of unbelievable that g4 was going to be so epically powerful. And maybe it's not as bad as I'm saying, but it did like shatter. It did like shatter my whole business back in the day. And now the g4 thing is so commonplace in so many different positions. And at the time, it felt like madness. It felt totally wrong to play g4 early. And of course, that was pre-computer that all happened to.
Yeah. And I mean, it is commonplace, although I feel like a lot of players are afraid to play g4 unless they know it's the move in the position.
Right.
But yeah, it's whenever you get an open Sicilian structure, yeah, if this knight is on f6 and white can play g4, it's basically a move. But you do need to wait for the knight to be on f6, because otherwise it comes with less sting, and black can develop with knight e7.
But that's a good point too. Is there's actually lines now where g4 is played without the knight too? It seems like totally that's totally insane.
Yeah, I think that's too much. I mean, it's playable, but it just seems like hyper aggressive.
Okay, I'm gonna guess they're gonna play knight c3, and then I guess at least the main group is going Taimanov with queen c7. I guess.
Yeah, it looks like we got big Taimanov party. but I'll get ready.
To my mind, the Taimanov was really like pioneered by Judith Polgar back in the day. Like she would just destroy people with the Taimanov, and yeah, it was beautiful. It was a beautiful sight.
Yeah, I've seen some of her games in the Taimanov. That is true.
They're taking too long, buddy. I don't know what they're talking about. But they're taking too long because we know they're going to play knight c3. I feel like I feel like I know these people's soul, their chess soul. They can't. They're like they've watched too many Simon Williams videos. They're not going to be. They're not going to play c4. Come on.
Yeah,
There's
I
no
mean,
chance.
the C4 is like, yeah, I would put this at maybe 5% because, I mean, against the Khan, I don't know if many people know this, but against the Khan, C4 is like a pretty serious line. It's one of the absolute main lines. Against the Taimanov, it's actually considered to just be second rate because black very quickly goes knight f6, white goes knight c3, bishop b4, and in this position with our knight already on c6, white does not have just a comfortable move like bishop d3 or queen d3 like they would in the Khan with a6. And so because of that, they kind of have to take on c6, and then black goes bc6, I think, usually, and then e5, and totally equalizes. So it's a move, but yeah, I think if black knows like maybe 2 or 3 moves of theory there, it's definitely not that dangerous. So knight c3, yeah, I think they just chit chat a lot at the beginning of the show. They just do their podcast. And here we go, guys. We got knight c3 on the board.
There we go. 1. Now we got some knight f6ers.
Yeah, I guess d6 is also a move. Yeah, there's so many moves in these positions. It's
Yeah, so many moves.
hard to keep track.
One cool thing, actually, I think for white players is you can kind of do the English attack against everything. So if you imagine all those different moves, pretty much you're going to be able to do the English attack against all of them. You know, there's very few you can't do it.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Yeah, 4 knights. English attack is not so good. Against the Khan, yeah, it's not so good. But against most, it's... Well, I guess Sveshnikov, it's not a thing either. Okay, there's just a lot of Sicilians, guys. So there's
a lot of
there's a lot of room.
Well, while they're thinking, Kostya, turn us on to this. So you're saying that let's say bishop e3.
Yeah.
And we actually got a choice there, but I don't know, bishop e3, knight f6, and you're saying not f3, but like queen f3.
Yeah, actually. So yeah, bishop e3. Now typically black will start with a6 because there's some knight b5 lines we don't want to deal with, and then the old move was queen d2, and then preparing to play f3 if right. needed, because sometimes white can even play f4 in one move. So yeah, the smart guys would play like queen d2 and save it. But nowadays, yeah, we're seeing like queen f3 kind of like overwhelmingly dominate. With actually a couple of interesting ideas. I mean, the main idea of this line is to play queen g3, where either black has to accept kind of a worse endgame with queen takes g3 hg, or black has to allow white's queen to sit on g3, where it's pretty well placed for the attack, and then white can go like f4 and h4 and have a lot of promising attacking chances. If knight b5 in this position, black will play queen b8, and then we'll get our tempo back with a6, so it won't be it's not considered a loss.
Right.
But yeah, keep the questions coming, guys. I mean, Vote Chess I think is fun, but from what I remember, I feel like people learn a lot during these shows too. So
I'll ask a question, Kostya. So you're saying bishop e3, knight f6 is inaccurate because of what?
I think the move there is f4.
Okay. And then like d6?
Well, d6, then we're playing this like type of Scheveningen. I think it's playable, but I feel like it's risky. Like white maybe goes queen f3 there.
Okay. So the idea would be bishop e3, and then if a6, f4, then what's the big difference there?
So if a6 f4, so here the difference I think is that white is not threatening e5 with tempo. So in that position, black could play either b5 or maybe bishop b4, one of these moves.
I see. Okay, good. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
So yeah.
You can see that I still have like the old Scheveningen player is still in me. So I'm always like, I just want to play knight f6 and d6. But right, I get it.
It's weird. I mean, I think it's playable. It must be playable. Just go knight f6, d6.
Right.
But yeah, when I look at it with the engine, it's like it gets really scary really fast. So I get the feeling it's...
Yeah. I honestly feel like they do already have a kind of game that I think they want, which is, we're playing the Sicilian. It is simply scary. There is just no way around it. We're playing with the sword here. Yeah, playing around with a very sharp blade.
It will get sharp. What I do like about the Taimanov is that a lot of the positions are this like interesting mix of dynamics and strategy. So there, many places for like positional chess. No, we got g3 on the board. Okay, so let's well, I don't know if we should vote on. I'll put up a vote, but let me just say that a6 is a really important move here because white is threatening to play bishop f4 and knight b5, which is very annoying. So I'll put a6 as the top choice. Wink, wink. And I'll also allow, I don't know, d6. Start poll. Actually, there's a famous game Fischer versus Tall, where Tall played knight f6 here, before they knew this was a mistake. And so it was like knight db5, queen b8, bishop f4, knight e5, queen d4. Oh, I'm sorry, I think bishop e2 first, because that blunders knight f3 check. And yeah, Fischer just got this like huge initiative right from the start.
Huh. Okay.
Okay, a6. Good move, guys.
By the way, let me just say, we are going to, at some point, we're going to need to tank. I can guarantee that. Right?
Yeah.
There's going to be a tanker. Now, I want to say that I don't believe in G3. And I prepped this once against Alexander Ivanov because this is what he liked to do too. And I will say that there's many times that we can do an opportunistic H5 that will both be delicious and pretty hard to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of H5 lines like bishop G2, knight of 6, and then H5.
Exactly, and we'll just park we can leave our pieces just kind of uncommitted and then H5 him. It's really great. It's really, really great. All right, bishop G2, and then I think we're going knight F6. Or at least that's I don't even know what else. I guess if you really were a maniac, you could play H5 now.
Yeah. Well, let's take the temperature of the crowd. I'm just curious. We'll say knight F6 is our main option and H5. And if the H5s get enough votes, it is playable here. I think there have been games, so I don't.
Yeah,
it's not just like a blunder. I would go for knight f6. I personally like the lines with knight f6 first. Actually, if I had this position, I would play d6, but that's. I feel like then it would just be me playing my game. So I think people should just vote.
Tell it, okay, but while we're talking about it, why do you like d6?
So I like d6 personally just to delay knight f6 and put the bishop on d7. And the idea is that whenever white takes on c6, we're ready to recapture with the bishop. There's some concrete lines where it's important to do this before playing knight f6. because white will quickly castle and put a rook on e1, and then black has to worry about things like either white pushing e5 or white playing like knight d5 with the rook on e1. So black needs to be in time to deal with all this. I think it's very comfortable with d6, bishop d7, but it leads to, I would say, pretty sharp positions. This is also what I recommended from white's point of view. So I wrote a book on the Open Sicilian, and yeah, we actually recommended the G3 line. So this was this is the line where I'm like willing to play from either side pretty much.
Oh, I had no idea, buddy. I had no idea that you were this level of deep. And how come you should have given at least your move a vote?
I guess so. I guess so.
Yeah,
but
we should.
That's all right.
So the idea must be that there's some position where knight f6 isn't the best. To me, it just feels like we're gonna put it there anyway. But
yeah, I think it's kind of a tempo thing. Well, let me play knight f6. This is won the vote.
All right.
And but I think the h5 lines are fun. So I think we could just try those.
Like castle h5.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing.
That's my kind of chess right there. I feel like those games, and there was some Polgar games back in the day where I got turned on to, very dynamic, because like our pieces are using we can play knight e5 at some point. Our pieces are very flexible. Like the bishop on f8, we can just let it sit there for a little bit. Yeah. But I guess in your book you had some kind of line against h5 as well, right?
We did cover it, yeah. So that was released at the beginning of 2015, but we were mainly writing it like 2013, 2014, and when we were, back then it was just becoming a move. So it was definitely, we considered it a big sideline, but because a couple of strong guys had played it, like Movsesian and that type of player, we felt like, okay, it's definitely going to be a serious thing that catches on. All right, we got castles on the board. So in addition to h5, which I guess would still be considered a sideline, d6 is playable. I would say knight takes d4 is also a line. And yeah, then we have h5. I think that's the main options. There's also bishop c5, but
Right.
Just leads to different kind of theory.
Yeah. The other thing I like about h5, honestly, is then we still have bishop c5 as an option.
Yeah.
And we should mention, flexible. I guess, knight d4, queen d4, bishop c5, bishop f. Well, is that what I get this right?
Right. Yeah, it's kind of the old main
That's
line.
The old line. Yeah, that was the Fischer Taimanov game, right?
Exactly.
1970.
Fischer's famous endgame against the man himself, Taimanov. I mean,
that's right.
Totally crushed him. I'm going h5.
Oh, people are going h5. All right. I think I hope I didn't oversell this thing. This is like just a really interesting position, and they will have to play a couple good moves after h5. What is your sense of what the best move for them is after h5?
I think there's different ways to play. We suggested to go h3, whether it was h5 here or on the previous move, so that white can meet h4 with g4. There are other moves, I'm pretty sure, but we actually had a pretty hard time finding it, and I think this line has survived from what I remember. I think the main drawback of this line is that it just leads to unconventional positions. Black has to play with the king on e8 for a while, but objectively I think the line is pretty sound. It's just that it's not to everyone's taste, obviously, and I wouldn't recommend this for anyone who's like hasn't been playing chess for a while, because I think you really need some experience to kind of handle this. And yeah, for the most part, we're going to be doing better with like healthy positions where the king is castle and we control the center, and we have like a very natural plan, bishop d7, rook c8. But okay, We're all in this together.
We're all in this together. Woo! It's gonna get hot. It's gonna get really hot.
I do
I'm
feel
already
like,
seeing like crazy variations. Yeah.
oh yeah, it's gonna get really sharp. I feel like if the colors were reversed and we played the G3 Taimanov, they would also play this line. Like, this is like...
That it's true. That's their and honestly, from my just intuitive take on who they are as chess players, as the Simon Williams kids, they would. I'm surprised at G3. Honestly, yeah, I'm surprised at G3. And I'm opposed to G3 philosophically as well because it's an extra pawn move, and maybe that's why I feel emboldened by the looking at H5. And I actually I have a vague memory. I prepared. It didn't happen, but I prepared for Alexander Ivanov. I think it was a U.S. championship years ago, and he was playing this kind of thing. And at least the computer of back in the day thought Black was doing great, in these kinds of positions. So that's hard, And I think this is a tough one for him to play.
Yeah,
With a
definitely.
G3 Adam style. That's right. So let's talk about H3. What do we want to do after H3?
So after H3, then I think Bishop C5 becomes a lot more promising. I'm pretty sure that would be the move. And then the G3 pawn is kind of hanging, if you guys will imagine. This pawn is on H3, so this is a pretty typical tactic of Black trying to get queen takes G3. And after Bishop C5, White kind of has a choice. I think they can definitely consider Bishop E3 because Knight G4 won't be possible there. They can also consider Knight C6 and I think Knight B3 also. Okay, Rook E1.
Whew, all right. Rook E1 is arguably the most ambitious because they're saying H5 means nothing, and then we have to worry about Knight D5. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a big idea. So here I feel like we are going to have a choice. Maybe we can talk about it for a sec, but H4 is going to be the obvious move, but we can consider Bishop E7 and we can also consider Bishop C5. But I think we have some time, so maybe we can just think about this for a sec before we.
And at any point we could play Knight E5 too, right?
Knight E5 is also a move that absolutely could happen.
So how about this? Let's start off with the most dramatic. What is the drawback of H4? Because that's why we played H5.
Yeah, exactly. I think good starting point. The only move that would consider me in response to H4 is Knight D5. That's it.
Right. Good. That seems right. Okay, take us through it, Kostya. H4, Knight D5. What is happening after that?
Well, we probably have to take, otherwise we shouldn't allow this. E takes D5. Then there's Knight E5 there, and there's Knight E7, which Knight E7 feels really murky. Knight E5 allows F4, but if we imagine like Bishop C5 there, I feel like maybe we think about this one. Though I don't know. I mean, Knight on E5 will be hanging.
Yeah, that what you just said scared the living daylights out of me. That really scared me.
I mean, we could put the knight on E7 in that position.
But then they have long-term compensation because we're not moving anymore, right?
Yeah, knight F5. Yeah, that doesn't look fun at all. I don't want to play that position.
Though even then, we're going to get to play D6, but that is what they want. That is what they want as part of the problem. Let's give them props as they're giving, I think Rook E1 is their kind of thing. So if H4, we have to worry about Knight D5.
For sure.
One thing we should say, though, is when all that happens, Harry the H-pawn will be significant in that his king isn't going to be happy either. So our king will be upset, but his king has problems of its own.
Right. Yeah, that's why I always liked H3 for white, is that it kind of safeguards against H4. One point about Bishop C5 is that if Knight D5, then we take with the knight on D5, and we'll win the knight on D4. So Bishop C5 should prevent Knight D5.
And I guess What's going to happen? I'm just assuming that bishop c5, bishop e3 is no bueno because of a variety of things. But for one, like maybe knight g4, but probably knight e5.
Yeah, I would think knight g4, but yeah, knight e5 also looks good.
The problem with bishop c5, bishop e3, knight g4 is knight e6 has to be looked at.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
But knight e5 threatens knight g4 and knight c4, so, you know, it looks good.
Yeah. And we can also play a move like bishop a7 there to make sure a guy is defended.
What is the principal variation for you after bishop c5?
I guess bishop c5, I would be a little bit worried about knight b3. And then if we go bishop a7, then maybe knight d5 in that position.
Because then after ed, he can play d6 on us.
Yeah, it still looks really dangerous. Bishop c5, knight b3, we can also consider bishop e7.
Exactly, right? That looks good, and we're just pushing the knight away, yeah.
Which I think gives us a pretty reasonable position, so I think that would be okay. Bishop a7 I think is kind of what we would want to do, but bishop e7 I think is, to me, seems alright, especially because it's not like we really lost time, because the knight had to move also. So it's like we play bishop e7 here, and then white gets a free move knight b3, and then it's white to play again. So,
by the way, people are asking knight d4, queen d4, bishop c5, and I think the problem with that is bishop f4. Right?
Yeah. It's possible.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I got to take a break. I'm happy with either of those, bishop c5 or h4, but I'll be right back.
All right. Well, let's vote on one of these three moves, maybe two moves. We'll vote on these two moves, h4, bishop c5, because this is what we kind of discussed the most. But yeah, if we play h4, we're running into knight d5, which I think is going to be unpleasant to say the least. So probably vote for bishop c5. Yeah, actually, I see, that's a good point. One line we should mention, if knight takes c6, we'll, let's say, take dc there, and then if e5, we do have knight g4 in that position, which is possibly annoying for white. Yeah, knight e4. Can we go no knight takes e5?
People like bishop c5. All right.
Yeah,
is that what your choice too?
Yeah, that was my vote. Yeah, actually, knight takes c6 is definitely a concern as well, because then they can follow with e5. So we were just trying to figure out this line. Knight takes dc, e5, knight g4, knight e4. Yeah, then knight e5 bishop is going to be hanging on c5. So we might have to play queen takes e5 there. Kind of risky. Kind of risky. Bishop f4. Queen f5. Kind of holding on by a thread there. There's also queen d4, but it might be okay. Queen d4 does hit f2, so it
Oh my God, it's close to all those the variation you just gave is like, that's why I stopped playing the Sicilian.
Yeah, it's
Man,
scary.
gonna get mated there, man.
Yeah, another big idea of rook e1, by the way. Yeah, knight c6 and push e5.
I have to admit, I am now a little bit unhappy. I didn't I didn't realize that was on the agenda.
Yeah.
This is why we shouldn't have played. This was another reason not to play knight f6, to just push Harry the h pawn first too.
Yeah, I guess we could have possibly avoided this line. Yeah, maybe that. In hindsight, it could have been more flexible. We'll be okay. We'll see if it happens on the board. You know, you never know.
So, Kosi, just in terms of this book you guys wrote, I want to ask more about it later, but so you didn't really cover rook e1 because you were looking at h3, so you probably just have like a vague recollection of this position.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a reason why we didn't like it, but yeah, I don't remember exactly what it is. I mean, a lot of times, you know, the engine just says like something black is like slightly better, and you're like, okay, I guess it's not not playable for an advantage, then you look for something else. But yeah, it might not be obvious for black what exactly is the issue. Sometimes it's easier said than done.
Oh man, this one's really frightening. Like, let me just ask some dumb questions here. So, knight c6. I don't know which one's better. Let's say dc, because that was the one you gave. e5, knight g4, knight e4, queen e5, bishop f4, knight queen f5, bishop f4, queen f5, knight d6, bishop d6. Oh, okay. What's just important is that since the pawn is no longer there on e5, we have queen f6, so our queen actually isn't going to get trapped. We will potentially just lose all of our dark squares, though, in a positional bind with knight d6, and then we lose our beautiful dark square bishop.
Yeah, it takes and then queen d6, right?
And that position, I gotta say, I mean, he's got at least good compensation.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
Though maybe he has to worry about weird g5 moves there. But still, it scares the daylights out of me.
Yeah, very scary. Yeah, these lines can be bad. The reason we want to go knight g4 here instead of knight d5 is that we want to go after this e5 pawn. So if we just have this knight c6, dc, e5, knight d5, then white is just clearly better after knight e4. Just kind of dominates a lot of space. The dark squares, bishop is bad on c8, bishop on c5 is going to be hanging. And then one day white will just play c4 and kick our knight off of d5.
And Icy asks, what if we just go like king e7 or king f8 if the knight d6 happens? And maybe, though the famous quote is, if I get a knight on d6, I just go to sleep. You know, I mean, that's kind of what, that's a scary business. If we're on queen f5, though, we are going to have to take because our queen is hanging on f5. So there's that, right?
Right. We could go queen d4 instead of queen f5 in that position.
Okay, good point. Yeah, it's just it's like one of these Sicilian things where maybe we're surviving, but we're really kind of hoping because it's definitely a position where an accident could just happen.
Yeah. So
that knight b3 thing, there's definitely accidents that can happen on knight b3 too.
Oh, for sure.
Now, the good news is I think the 10 minutes is going to be really important because we will have to do some heavy calculations soon.
Yeah.
Sterl says he dislikes this position for black. I'm kind of with you, man. How did this happen?
Well, you know, that's what happens. It's like we voted for on h4, bishop c5. h4 was considered very dangerous because of knight d5. But yeah, maybe a more... Bishop c5 might be fine objectively. Sometimes the engine just like it just calculates all the way to queen d4, and it says black is hitting f2, and black is fine. But yeah, maybe in hindsight, a move like bishop e7 or playing h5, yeah, without knight f6 might have been might have gone better for us. But let's not criticize h5. I mean, h5 is a big move. It's just we might not have followed up correctly.
No, I think I don't know that we've actually made a mistake yet. It's just that we've got a position that's scary. But the Sicilian is always going to be frightening. I mean, that's part of the deal, as far as I can tell.
Exactly. There was also a move bishop b4 we didn't really consider. Just taking.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I don't like that. Kosa, tell us about this book. Who did you write it with? And yeah, how did it?
Sure.
Bishop e3. Ooh, I think we're a little safe.
Bishop e3.
I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just breathe a sigh of relief there.
Yeah. Let's just all breathe a collective sigh.
So the first thing I think we need to address, I don't think knight g4 works, but maybe I'm wrong about this because of knight e6.
Yeah, knight g4, knight takes e6 is a big problem. And this guy's hanging with checks, so don't even think about knight takes e3.
And my sense of the reason bishop e3 is wrong is that now first of all, it blocks the rook on e1. And after knight e5, we're threatening both knight g4 and knight c4, undermining. And the other thing about h5, of course, is not only do we have h4, but of course we also have knight g4.
Right.
Now, Kosa, you said that in addition to knight e5, you also liked bishop a7.
I would also consider bishop a7 here. Yeah. But looking at it now, I think knight e5 is the move to beat. If we don't find a reason not to play knight e5, we should play knight e5. I'll put it up for a vote in a sec, but yeah, maybe we can just think about. I think it's really smart the way you just let's find a reason why knight e5 is bad, and yeah, see what we can come up with.
Right.
Oh, hydrate.
I think bishop hydrate. Let's give me a hydrate. Bishop e3 looks wrong. Maybe I'm not a huge expert, but bishop e3 definitely doesn't seem like the right move.
I could call myself an expert. Yeah, it's often it does happen, but it does block the rook on e1, and the bishop does often get hit with knight c4. So in my experience, I have seen white just leave the bishop on c1 for many moves in this type of position, and it's absolutely fine because it's still doing work. It rarely goes to b2, so it's not like about keeping this option open, but yeah, it does get hit with knight g4, knight c4, so it's kind of a problem.
Sturls is talking trash about h5. I think h5 right now, I'm really happy with it. Really happy. It enables knight g4, and we're hanging h4 over his head. We are going to develop the rook on h8, and that means our king can hang out in the pocket for a while longer. Yeah, really interesting position.
Yeah, for sure. Well, poll is up. Let's see. Patient Chess asks if knight e5, can they play knight a4? They can, but the nice thing about having the a6 pawn is we just have a super comfy square on a7, and then the knight on a4 is going to feel useless. So we probably okay here.
And our positional threat really is knight g4, and then breaking down that diagonal of a7 g1, as well as threatening some kind of h4 ourselves later.
Yeah, we want to go h4, knight g4, knight c4, b5, bishop b7. And yeah, once we get everything, I think our position will be pretty playable. That won't be everything, but we are kind of getting out with a comfy Sicilian middle game. So yeah, well, we have a sec. I wrote the book. Well, now like 5-6 years ago. I co-wrote it with this international master, Janibek Amanov, who was in SoCal for a couple years as like an international student. I don't know if you met Janibek, but you guys might have played like in some tournaments or something.
Yeah, the name's familiar with me. Yeah, Amanov, sure. And he played. I think we might have played. He was playing in the what was then the U.S. Chess League.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool. And is he? He's not living here anymore, I guess.
Yeah, he went back to Kazakhstan a few years ago, where he's from, and he was a Sicilian expert. So I was a big D4 player back then, but I wanted to write a book, and yeah, an opening book, I guess. He had a lot of knowledge about the Sicilian, and so I was more of the writer, and he was more of the expert. And then we worked a lot on the lines together. We definitely had to like redo some stuff. Like our first choice against the Najdorf was the Fischer system with bishop c4, but then we discovered the h3 lines that were just beginning to become like pretty popular back then, and we were like, well, this looks really fun, like h3 g4 against the Najdorf. So we went with that. I'm really happy we did, because then the theory like kind of exploded after that. Yeah, so our idea for the book was to give White like a full repertoire. We tried to go for main lines where we felt like there was no other choice, like you have to play the main line. But if we felt like there was a choice, like there is against the Najdorf and against a lot of other lines, we looked for systems that were kind of like not the 100% main line, but still popular and with like a lot of, basically where the plans were kind of straightforward and you could rely on understanding the plan of the position and just playing that without having to memorize like the reams of theory that like bishop g5 Najdorf players often have to remember. Because I always felt like the bishop g5 lines are just so not thematic. You just have to remember a bunch of like random ideas, and very not practical for the average club player. I think the average club player would do much better with a system like the English attack, where they just know they're playing f3, g4, h4, or the h3 system was similar. Or actually, this is kind of why I like the g3 systems against the Taimanov and the Khan Sicilians, because we recommended a plan where you leave the rook on f1, bishop on c1, and then you just play like f4, g4 as soon as black is castled kingside. And then the rook actually can like lift via rook f3, rook h3 with a pretty what I felt like was a pretty dangerous attack. So yeah, we basically just looked for lines with a clear attacking plan. Some positional lines too, but mainly like aggressive lines.
IC asked, was it possibly knight e5 instead of bishop c5? I assume it was. Yeah, I assume it was. That was my first intuition. But this worked out much better. Let me just say, I feel like I've been in situations like this as white, and it's very difficult to play this position as white, because first of all, like, you have to worry about knight g4, knight c4, and h4. But second of all, if black just gets a couple moves and plays like b5, bishop b7, my position is awesome.
Yeah.
My position is like the knight on c3 is completely dead. My king's got three options, right? Short, stay, or long, and all of my minors are great. So it's really a problem. And part of the thing about bishop b3 was like he had a moment in time there where he, with both knight b3 and what was the other move?
Knight c6.
Knight c6 and e5. Both of those are like what I think you, for the most part, you want to do against any Sicilian, which is thrash the thing before the guy gets into the late middle game. And right now, he needs an idea, and I don't know what to do for white. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any great moves for the guy.
It feels problematic. I guess the problem with knight e5, a move earlier would have been what to do against f4. Because then we don't get knight g4 or knight c4 with tempo, so we kind of do get kicked around, and we don't want to allow e5 with tempo also.
That makes sense to me, yeah.
So we would have to find something there. But yeah, now with bishop on e3, knight e5, now f4, knight g4, knight c4, both are good, and then we'll have time either to play d6 and make sure we're not getting hit with e5, or maybe we'll have some other resource there as well. Oh yeah, a good time to mention the camp that we are doing tomorrow. Is actually, yeah, you're basically our last chance to register. We're doing a 3-hour training camp for people wanting to get better at chess, and Jesse put the link there in the chat. You can find more details. There is an entry fee. It's $60 to join the camp, but I think, a couple hours of training, it's going to be well worth it. And for now, we only have like 6 or 7 players signed up. So if you still sign up, you're likely to get some close attention. And what you were saying, Jesse, about the Sicilian being tough to play is totally right. This is why I think the Sicilian is like one of the best openings for the majority of chess players as black, is because, like, if white doesn't try to kill you from the opening, like with one of the main lines, a lot of times you not just equalize, but you equalize comfortably, where like you have a good plan, you have this open C file and so much play and just long-term great structure, no weaknesses, and white's position just slowly over time becomes worse and worse.
Yeah, and one thing I got turned on to actually from this book by Nikitin about Kasparov's early years is the idea that this kind of position in particular is what young kids should be playing. Not just because of all of the tactical stuff that you need to calculate, but also that you can get a really nuanced understanding of different move orders and why and what's going on. Whereas in a lot of other openings, you just have a setup.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this thing, there's so much nuance going on with different moves and a lot of depth that I think older people like myself have actually a lot of trouble following. Like, this would be a disaster for me because there's so many moves that you would have to have a handle on, and for me it would be really hard. Like, if I had written that book in 2015, I would have already forgotten most of the key moves. Yeah, it would be very hard for me to remember stuff.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's why I think it's good to focus just on like the thematic ideas. I would say that maybe is the one drawback of the Sicilian, is that if you are going up against well-prepared players, there will be lines that you just kind of have to, let's say, memorize or just know very, very well in order to get out of the opening alive. I would say right now against the Taimanov, the bishop e3, queen f3 system is probably in that territory, because if black wants to survive there, I think they really have to know a lot of stuff. You can't just kind of rely on playing like typical Sicilian moves. But for the most part, I think people were just worried too much about theory. I think most games that I've seen, it's not like one person is just getting like some kind of crushing advantage out of the opening just based on their knowledge alone. They might be getting a crushing advantage, but because they outplayed the player, not because they knew a lot of like theory. Okay, h3 on the board. Quite logical.
Right. Now, is there anything wrong with b5, or we need to play 6 or something first?
So yeah, b5, I guess we'd be worried about f4,
exactly,
knight c4, right. And then like e5.
Yep, that's our worry. And maybe that is a worry. I'm real suspicious about f4, I gotta say. I don't really think it's gonna work out for the guy.
Yeah.
Okay, let's spend a moment here. Let's think about it. So we've got b5, d6, knight c4. There might be some weird way to make h4 work, but I don't see it yet.
Yeah, we want to be careful about knight c4, because after bishop c1, if we don't know what our next move is there, then it might not be the best use of time.
Right. So we're agreed that d6 is the move we're going to make if we're scared, right?
I think so, yeah, because bishop can still jump back to a7 if it needs to, and d6 always defends against f4 and e5. So d6 is definitely a very safe, solid move here.
And I want to mention the reason that d6 is the drawback is that you lose all the romanticism of the queen on c7 doing something to the king, which often does happen. It is a real thing.
It does, yeah. I'm not too worried about that, but yeah, that is what we're giving up. We're giving up the chance to play queen g3 in this position with the bishop on c5. But I think that ship has sailed.
Okay, so let's just do a variation in our head here. So
Yeah.
b5,
Mm-hmm.
f4, knight c4, e5, knight takes e3, rook takes e3, and I'm not sure where exactly yet, but let's say queen a7.
Mm-hmm.
And what does dude do there? And what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this line. It's really interesting. So we're hitting the knight on d4, and then the rook on e3 is going to be hanging. So if we take on d4, we're winning a rook, basically.
Yeah.
It feels like white would be forced to play either rook d3 or knight ce2.
Right. And on knight ce2, at the least I have knight d5.
Right, yeah.
That's interesting. I'm not sure what's going on, but I like if we win, it is a big deal for us to win that dark square bishop.
It is, but honestly, I'm not sure if we're happy there after white, let's say, takes on d5, ed, goes c3, and just like locks down everything on the d4 square.
Oh man, okay, big decision, guys, big decision.
Yeah.
Now the other thing about the d6 move that might be something to say for it is that white doesn't have any good moves. If he truly has no good moves, then d6, well, it's just very nice.
Yeah. So I'll put up the poll again, but yeah, basically what's happening is we can either play d6 with a really safe position, or we can play b5 and go into this mess that neither Jesse and I really trust.
And there was knight c4 too, though I have to admit there's things about knight c4 I didn't understand.
Yeah, knight c4, bishop c1, and I didn't know what move we're making there.
God, part of me really doesn't want to play d6 because it feels like the only reason to actually do it is because of the e5 thing, which I'm not sure dude is really set up to do.
Yeah, problem is rook on a8 though is like, if we could play rook c8 and then just commit to b5, bishop b7 later, it would be great, but we have to play b5 first, which is annoying.
Okay. I couldn't figure it out, so I'm saying one. And Fabian, I'm gonna hydrate, buddy. All right.
I like what Gameboard said. After d6, d5 still exists, Jesse.
Well, I just want to say that there's in the to my mind, like the beautiful games in the Taimanov, there is a lot of heavy drama that can happen with the queen on c7, opening up onto the white king. So that was, and d6. When you think about it, it's not necessarily. It is okay. It's a developing move in the sense that we could also play bishop e7. It's totally available to us next. But the romantic way, of course, is to play b5 and bishop b7, and maybe we don't get that kind of thing, but it's it's a thing there for us.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I like about d6 from a competitive standpoint is it's really pretty hard to say what white should do now. In fact,
For sure.
I think to know what he's supposed to do.
Well, there is f4 again, but I'm thinking on f4 we might have knight c4, bishop c1, and then e5, which is another
No,
nice point of d6.
And you know, right, the knight c4 is just such a typical Sicilian move. With the bishop sitting there on e3, that's why the bishop was probably not the best move to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see why they didn't want to go for knight c6. My bet was that they did consider it because it is thematic after rook e1. Maybe they saw that pawn sack line. I don't know. Maybe they didn't see enough for white there. It's always interesting to watch the replay.
They played queen e2.
Yeah. Okay. Queen e2 is interesting.
The first instinct is b5.
Right.
I don't see anything wrong with b5.
Well, b5 if they go f4, knight c4, and e5. Can we find something clear here?
I want to say I really don't believe in that for them, but okay, let's look. Yeah, Sicilian, man, it's really rough. It's really rough. Okay. b5, f4, knight c4, e5. Let me just start off with de.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to play fe, I see.
Fe, yeah.
Queen takes e5.
Oh, nice. That's how you do it.
Nice. We're gonna. Well, I don't know if it's. We'll still find out. But the idea is that bishop a8. I can play either queen e3 or knight e3.
Yeah.
And of course, we have the monster dark squares.
Yeah, no, that looks huge. I mean, that's an exchange and at least one pawn off the bat. Knight on d4 hanging. We have this diagonal. g3 is hanging.
Right.
That looks pretty huge. Sorry if it's not clear with the arrows. I don't know how to make it easier because the arrows help, I think, to a very small extent. I think first couple moves, but then they just get confusing. So we're thinking about b5 here, which I agree is just the most obvious move in the position. If white does not play f4, then again, I think black plays bishop b7. We have nothing to worry about. So the only line we would be worried about is f4, knight c4, e5, hitting the rook on a8. And then Jesse was just saying de, fe, queen takes e5 with the threat of knight takes e3, where white can never play queen takes e3 because we'll have bishop takes d4, pinning and winning. White can sack on b5, but it really doesn't look dangerous because normally the only time this sack is actually scary is when white is able to come in with knight d6 afterwards or take the d6 pawn. But here it doesn't seem like after queen b6, white is really going to get that initiative.
Well, he's also losing, hanging bishop e3. Oh, if he takes immediately before f4.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I guess we can consider it in the next position too.
I guess, okay, let's just say, I made this. We do a poll, and it could be b5, and the weenie move is bishop b7, after which I think our position is not poor. But then after, well, yeah, it's not poor after bishop d7. But so b5 is by all means the aggression.
That makes sense, yeah. We'll run the poll, try to keep our time advantage, because definitely will still be needed.
So I guess in the, what we got, a minute?
Minute for the poll, yeah.
So let's just, if anyone finds a reason not to play b5, they should shout it. I was surprised how quickly Costa, I said the exchange stack and you were like, that's it. That was because you studied chess with the Armenians, I think. You were just like, yep, that's it. That's the one.
No, Armenian School of Chess, of course. Yeah. Well, no, I was definitely looking for a way to take on e3 and yeah, play for the dark squares, but yeah, I think the way the Armenians evaluate things is normally an exchange is worth minor piece plus 2 pawns, but I think if you get a minor piece and a center pawn, that can also be good enough.
I mean, to me, it comes down to just how, like, it's a position definitely where accidents could happen for us.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we miss some move, something terrible could happen. But But right, in general, it's also just that we get that dark square bishop and the diagonal a7 g1 is lit up.
Yeah.
And taking the rook, oh, that's a tempo.
Yeah, that's a full tempo to grab that rook.
Full tempo to grab the rook. And even if he plays bishop c6 check on the next move, then it'll be a tempo to move the bishop as well.
Yeah. Okay, actually, I'm now having second thoughts about the phrase "a pawn is worth 3 tempi," because that means that a rook is worth 15 tempi. Which seems a little extreme. Like, that's a lot of moves.
Yeah, but that's just that's getting a little insane. The pawn is worth 3 tempi makes a lot of sense to me. But I want to say, here's an actually in this position, a pawn is worth like 2 tempi or 1, because especially after the position blows up, then a pawn is worth a tempi, or at least, because it's going to be so hectic. So like the value of time changes depending on how violent the position is. And if white basically it's up to white now. He can either go for it with f4 or sit. If he sits, oh buddy, the position is going to start to smell. It's going to really start to smell for him, right? I mean,
Yeah.
But yeah, things are going to light up here in a second.
Now, in this position, do we really need the pawn on h5? Like, probably not. I think if it was back on h7, it would be a pretty normal Sicilian position. But it is still something that's kind of hanging over white's head, because they do have to at least consider the possibility of black playing h4 in the future and targeting the dark squares. But yeah, it's definitely a very double-edged pawn here on h5 right now, because we, in many cases, are just going to castle kingside and the pawn will look strange, but it's not always so easy for white to take advantage.
And we should add that one of the cool things about these Polgar games is a lot of times the h pawn is there to stop g4. Right?
Yeah.
It's there as a defensive move.
Absolutely.
Which you see.
Yeah, if we're worried about g4 coming in.
But I understand if people are watching are being like, dude, what's going on with h5? I think there we have one person at least who's a little bit upset with h5.
Yeah.
We're doing great with the time. I think, it's funny that, one funny thing about this position is if you want to play f4, you're probably not going to be able to figure it out in under 10 minutes. So it's almost like you either have to, the judgment I think would be to say, look, I'm lost positionally if I don't play f4, so just play it. Right? I think that would be the reasoning. Just being like, dude, it's going to go downhill for me if I don't do it, so I might as well go for it.
I mean, yeah, definitely in like a blitz game, but I do feel like they have time to at least, yeah, like keep it going. Now, Icy has an interesting suggestion: f4, knight c4, bishop f2, and just leaving the b2 pawn, probably with the hopes of pushing e5, which definitely should be considered. Yeah.
With that position, okay, honestly, that is something for them to consider, but in that position, both bishop b7 and knight takes b2 are possibilities for us. And that position with bishop b7 looks pretty good, because if he ever plays b3, that's a permanent problem for him as well.
Yeah, I like bishop b7 there. I mean, knight takes b2, I just don't see what we're doing against e5. But bishop b7 looks nice. In general, yeah, trading light squared bishops is going to be really nice for black, because it's going to leave white's king really exposed. So the main idea of getting this bishop to b7, not just to put pressure on e4, but it's always kind of prevent white from being able to push e5, because this allows a trade. Yeah, my first instinct there would be not to take on b2 if we don't have to, because it's also like the pawn is going to continue to hang, so
Right, exactly, right.
you know, we'll have time. I guess I am much more used to this type of structure with this bishop on e7. It's kind of like typical in the Scheveningen.
Right.
Which I actually like it. I do like it on e7 a little bit more, just because I feel like the king is always safe, and okay, one day we'll play d5 and open it up anyway. Whereas on c5, it often feels a little, well, it's ambitious.
Well, yeah, there's a number of drawbacks to it. For example, we don't really want to. If the bishop is on e7, then we're far more interested in playing b4. But with the bishop on c5, we don't ever want to allow the knight to come to a4 and get our bishop. No way,
Yeah.
right? So it changes the nature of what b5 is about as well. In this position, b5 is not so much about kicking the knight, in fact, not at all, and is far more about playing the plant move of knight c4.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Ooh, scary game.
Man, yeah, this is pretty fun. I feel, I really I wish I was a kid again, because this would be the kind of thing. Oh man, to play this as a kid, you're going to be really dangerous. Be really dangerous as a kid playing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's this idea that it's easier to go from playing something tactical to playing something positional than like vice versa. Do you agree with that, and do you know why that would be?
Wait, let's say it again. It's easier.
There's this idea, yeah, that it's like easier to start off playing something sharp like a dragon or Najdorf, and then transferring to like a Caro-Kann or e4 e5, something more strategic, versus a player who starts off playing something more positional, then having to learn to like play the dragon and like sharper openings.
Um, f4. Here we go, buddy.
F4.
Here we go.
Okay.
Oh,
We
I
don't
think we
really
just
have
play knight c4.
a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think knight c4 has been.
Let's just do it. We've decided.
Yeah. If it's wrong, it's wrong.
If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's wrong, it's really wrong.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
bishop
bishop
f2
f2.
instantly.
Yeah,
Instantly.
that was their plan. All right, now we can think about this for a sec.
Right. Bishop b7, definitely the first move that comes to mind. I just an idea floated through my head for him after bishop b7. Maybe on bishop b7 he has a chance to be not so terrible with e5,
Mm-hmm.
de, fe. Now maybe I snag on g2 in between.
Right.
Actually, snagging on g2 in between is really actually what I want. But if I don't snag, then let's say knight fd7, he could play bishop b7, queen b7, knight e4, and then I have a little bit of grief.
Yeah.
I think, actually. I'm not even sure about... I'm not even... maybe I
No,
have
it
a
might
little
be
grief.
fine. Yeah, it might be fine.
Yeah, but bishop g2 is amazing, I think, because then I can... if king g2, at the very least, I have like knight d5. And if knight d5, queen b7. Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, we just like that because the queen still covers the bishop on c5, and then we always have these like queen b7 tempos that tactically are probably going to be relevant.
Right.
So yeah, bishop e7 seems safe. The thing we don't like about knight takes b2 is, yeah, we just don't know what we're doing after e5, and that looks really scary. There's also knight takes b5 that probably just wins back all of white's material if they want. On bishop b7, I should note that knight takes b5 doesn't really work because we take on f2 with check, and then the queen will be defending the knight on c4. Not to mention we'll have like queen c5 or queen b6 check as well.
One question we have that's not illegitimate is bishop b7, b3, and then e.
Mm-hmm.
That is certainly also pretty hectic. I have some ideas for that too. But that's definitely a move. But honestly, it doesn't change that much because the knight on a3 is beautiful. The knight on c3 is loose. And once the knight goes to a3, there's no stuff on b5. It's very similar, actually. We're still going to do our thing, right?
Wow, you want to put that on a3? Yeah, absolutely. I was like, to me this wasn't obvious at all, but now that I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, knight on a3 is actually like really annoying, just like hitting c2 and just putting pressure.
Okay, I think we should do bishop b7 because I don't see an alternative.
Yeah, does anyone want anything? I'm gonna do an informal poll. Does anyone really want anything other than bishop b7 here and is not convinced? Speak now or forever. Forever hold your peace. You know, I'll do the poll. I trust you guys. I'll do the poll. Super Patzer wants knight takes b2. I don't know if I trust Super Patzer. I'm just gonna go out and say it.
Knight takes b2. If we could get away with it, I don't see what we do after e5. But if we could, sure.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna say 1.
Yeah,
Scott Post is out there. All right.
Wonder if Super Patzer has any relation to ChessPatzerUK.
Oh yeah, I gotta be careful.
Yeah.
Be real careful. You know, the other thing we could do, Kosi, if we do this again, is we could put up an analysis board too. A separate analysis board. But I guess we're running out of real estate there on our setup.
Yeah, not a lot of room. Also, I wonder if that would be
against the rules
kosher. Yeah. I mean, obviously the point is to analyze the position out loud, but I think they just keep it on the board. I'm trying to remember, as I've watched their stream both times. I don't remember if they make moves or not. They might, but I don't know. Oh, Sunny says he feels like he's seen Super Patzer in their chat.
Oh, maybe we've got a spy.
We got a mole.
Oh man. So yeah, he might be relaying our general sentiments, if nothing else.
No, I don't think that's happening. I mean, because I'll watch their stream afterwards, and then they have the chat replay, and I haven't seen anyone in their chat like, oh, they're talking about this line.
Right.
So, but the truth is coming out. He's a mod on their channel. Oh man! All right, someone take to Reddit. We need
That's right.
Full investigation on this.
It's always the mods. It's always the mods. You know, I gotta say, one thing that's fascinating to me about this position is I really believe in it for black, but it is so hectic that I can imagine any evaluation being possible here, right? It's just so frenetic here about what could, who's better and why. I don't know.
Yeah, no, you never know what might happen. I mean, there's always knight b5 sacks, knight d5 sacks, f5, e5 ideas. It's not easy for white either. I think these positions often appear like white is doing well because it seems like they have a lot of like space and stuff. But white also has a lot of kind of long-term weaknesses, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't feel like it now, but the c file is always a problem in the long run. And these pawns around the king have all moved, right? So now as soon as some pieces get traded off, this king on g1 starts feeling a little bit more airy.
Right. And the other thing I want to mention is in those variations with e5, d, e, f, e, you could throw in the bishop g2. We could also just play something crazy like castles long or rook d8.
At some point, yeah.
We're not committed to moving our knight right away. And ultimately, right, it would be nice not to.
Okay, is a4 a threat? Good question from Patient Chess.
A4 might be a little scary. The first intuition is that knight b2 should be great, but that could be wrong.
I was looking at queen b6.
Queen b6 is also sure.
So we hit this guy, and then if white puts a rook on d1, then knight b2, of course. I just have such a hard time playing knight b2 if it's not with tempo. To me, it feels like, well, yeah, I mean, it's a full move, and as we discussed, like, the value of time here has gone up. So pawn is worth much less than 3 moves here.
And we should say that the value of the pawn on b2 is not really because later we're going to queen a pawn. It's because then the dark squares on the queen side become mush. That is the goal of taking on b2.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that from, I guess, the poison pawn variation in the Najdorf.
Right, exactly.
White goes bishop g5, black goes queen b6, and queen takes b2. Yeah, not just to grab the pawn, but because it really disrupts everything in white's position, especially the knight. Yeah.
Vintage, we did not play knight takes b2 because we didn't understand what to do against e5. That was why we didn't do it.
Yeah.
Now, maybe there was something to do against c5, but we didn't understand.
Right.
Or at least I didn't understand.
No, I don't think I saw any even reasonable ideas there. So my guess is that it just doesn't work for us. All right, a4.
Holy moly, a4. Okay. We have a great time advantage, and we've now, I don't know, we want to think about it for a little bit. Let's think about it for a little bit. But I think right now we've got queen b6 and knight takes b2 as moves.
Yeah. So if you guys can try to refute either of these moves, that would be helpful. Queen b6, knight takes b2.
Oh, and I want to add a third option if we find that those are scary, is we could also play bishop d4, b4.
Interesting.
It's definitely at least a thought, because this knight is not happy.
No, that actually is interesting, because, I mean, okay, we are giving up the dark square bishop, but then once we play b4 and the knight moves away, we also have e5 there, and we don't have to worry about knight d5.
Right.
So we're just totally fighting on the dark squares. So yeah, I think, okay, for now, I think we should think about it for like a good couple more minutes, because this seems pretty critical, but that's a nice option too.
So let's consider your first intuition, and that was queen b6.
Yeah.
What would the guy do after that? AB bishop d4 looks just winning because we have pressure on f2.
Right.
So, what the guy do?
Yeah, maybe
It's
e5.
hard.
Yeah, thank you, Sunny. Sunny is just reminding us, like, e5 is the move to consider every move, and I agree. We have to make sure we don't allow this one.
Okay, queen b6, e5. Let's just say I play bishop d4. Just ignorantly take the thing.
Right. Okay, well, let's say bishop takes b7.
Bishop takes f2.
Yeah, queen f2.
Queen b7.
Queen b7 has to take on f6.
Oh god, it's getting hectic. And then we have to worry about knight e4 in those positions later. Ooh, okay. That is a little bit. That is a little frightening. Okay.
I feel like it's okay though, but if we want, we have a pawn with gf6 and then maybe king e7. So I don't really see, honestly, I don't really see why that would be bad, because you know, maybe we get king e7 and even bringing a rook to the g file after g takes f6.
Okay, Kosa, get rid of those arrows and let's try to do it again. So queen b6, e5.
Yeah.
If I do a move you don't like, just tell me. So queen b6, e5, bishop d4, bishop b7, and what do you want to do there? You want to play bishop f2?
I think that position is fine. The one we're looking at, bishop f2, queen b7, without taking on e5. So we still have the d pawn. E takes f6, g takes f6.
Oh, you are a madman. I see. And then so if knight e4, you're just gonna play
king e7.
Like a baller, like a baller. Oh, and there's also got to worry about AB.
Yeah, AB knight b5 is concerning too.
Those positions freak
Yeah,
me.
so that one I think, yeah, is really, really messy. Let's consider e5 on this move. This was Sunny's suggestion.
On this move?
Yeah, I just want to see if there's...
Then we got to worry about the knight d5s of the world.
Yeah, knight d5 is definitely really thematic and unpleasant. So probably knight d5 is a problem. We could also consider castling queenside in that one position with gf6. But yeah, just, yeah, file it under super risky. It's, okay, can we look at bishop takes d4 and b4 again? Because, oh yeah, there was a suggestion if we go bishop d4 and b4 that black can play e5.
One thing about that, Kostya, is like maybe when we play e5. Okay, so we're talking about bishop d4 positions. Bishop d4, bishop d4, b4. I don't know where the knight goes, but let's say the knight goes somewhere. When we play e5, the guy can play b3.
Mm-hmm.
And it's at least wildly complicated. I'm not sure about that position.
Yeah.
Because then, right, if our knight moves, then the bishop gets to go back on that diagonal.
I would probably expect to take on d4 in that position, let white take on c4, and then just castle, just get the king out, and like put a rook on e8 and pile on the e file, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. This is the big one. This is why people play the Sicilian, is they get the money decision right here. Which one do we do?
And on knight takes b2, I honestly just don't know what we're doing against like a takes b5.
Yeah, that's a good point. E5 might be a move there too.
Yeah.
So, Kostya, what are you leaning towards here, buddy?
Okay, from a practical point of view, I still haven't found a reason to reject bishop d4 and b4, because that at least keeps things under control, and I feel like we're probably comfortable there. This bishop on g2, in my experience, ends up really bad if we can hold on to this pawn on e5. Maybe b3 we still consider some knight a3 stuff or something.
All right, it's good enough for me, buddy. I'm with. Let's how about this? This is our poll. It's either bishop d4 or bishop d4 or queen b6.
Yeah.
And I think knight b2 is out, but if someone wants to do a shout out for knight b2, they can shout that out.
So queen b6, e5, knight d5 also possible, but we have issues with taking and then opening up the e file against the king.
Right.
It's gonna be really dangerous. All right, here we go, guys. So yeah, I don't think either of these moves is, I mean, queen b6 might be losing, you know, by force or something, but right now I feel like I would be okay with either of these moves. Because queen b6, e5, not sure we're actually huge trouble there, but it is dangerous, definitely.
This gets the Sicilian gets my heart rate going, man. This is intense.
Yeah.
Now the bishop d4 is definitely like a move that's gonna temporize the position. At least that's the intention. It might still get really hectic if he can get away with the b3, but
yeah, at least solidify. Queen b6, rook a d1. Neil, honestly, I just thought knight takes b2
Right.
He's just super annoying there, but I didn't really look at it too deeply. Okay, here we go, guys. Now it does kind of force their response, so they're probably not going to spend too much time on this move. But on b4, they have a real choice there because they have, I'm just going to play it. They have e5 and b3, and they can also consider moving the knight.
Oof.
Or rook b1. But in that line, Neil, I think white just takes on d4, and I think we should be fine.
Oh my god, this is yeah, they've got a big choice on this one. Let's just go through it. All of the knight moves have ideas behind them.
Yeah, even like knight d5 is worth considering.
I'm going to say I don't understand knight d5.
Yeah, I don't believe in it, but I think I would look at it.
I guess I meant the knight a2 makes sense to me. b1, d1, all those moves have some rationale.
But let's talk about what we're going to do on e5, because to me this looks like the sharpest choice.
Right, so let's say 3 knight moves and e5 and maybe b3 immediately.
Right.
Is also a thought for the guy. Whew. Okay, so you're right. This was my experience as a Sicilian player too. Just focus on the violence first. So one bummer about e5 is that because the bishop is now on d4, is we cannot do we can't do the in-between move, bishop g2 anymore, because queen g2 hits our rook. I'm not sure I appreciated that when I made this decision. Did I screw it up for us, Ghostia? I might have screwed it up.
I mean, I didn't really think about this one either. But I don't think it's over because we can also take on c3.
It's not, okay, so let's just say that things are a little spicy here. So e5, let's say we take first, de.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there actually, de kind of opens up some rook d8 ideas. So maybe if fe, bishop g2, queen g2, we go rook d8 in that position.
Rook d8, yeah. Oh man, that's really this thing. I was like, remember what I said? I was like, oh, this will temporize the position. This will temporize anything. e5 is hot.
Yeah.
And right, this is a typical thing where old guys like me will get crushed if they play the Sicilian, is that I didn't really appreciate bishop g2, queen g2 is now an option. Right? It's totally different than before. So let's figure this out. e5, I'm going to go for de as the first question mark.
I think this helps us, yeah. fe.
Also, bishop b7 could be thrown in. It's kind of annoying. In fact, I mean, I'm not sure. Let's say e5, de, bishop b7.
Oh, we'll take.
We might take on d4 too.
Maybe, yeah. Actually, yeah. Totally reasonable.
This is heart attack city, man.
And they've got a big choice too. I mean, my God, they gotta commit to e5 here if they really want to play it. I think we're gonna see knight a2.
Oh man, this is really spicy. I'm not sure about anything here.
Yeah, honestly, this is pretty like a similar to the experience of like a high rated player playing against like an aggressive lower rated player. A lot of times you do want to give them a choice. Okay, knight d1.
Oh god, okay.
I mean,
we still might have our troubles, but that wasn't the move that scared me.
Yeah. Okay, we have e5. Do we have a move other than e5?
Honestly, right now, even rook c8 is good.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with a Fischer-esque rook c8 because it does so many things.
Did you say Fischer-esque?
Yeah, the dude just put his stuff on the C file and said goodnight. You know? Right? Like, my pieces are just better now after this knight d1.
Rook c8 does save us a lot of grief. If b3, I would imagine we're going knight a3.
Right.
But maybe is c3 annoying there? Or c4?
Let's talk. Okay, so we got rook c8 and we've got e5. Both of them now look fairly reasonable for us, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And the advantage of this is just to, well, e5. First of all, it talks to his kingside pawn. And honestly, maybe we just want to do it on principled reasons too. There's absolutely nothing wrong with e5.
Yeah, structurally, I think e5 is the move that we want to play now. I mean, in some cases, maybe d5, but I think e5 is the move. Because we gave up the dark square bishops, we got to use our pawns to kind of control the dark squares. I would imagine, let's say we get bishop f2 there. Are we just playing rook c8 there? It seems like we're going to have...
Well, in addition to that, we could think about h4 too.
Oh, h4 also. Yeah, it's really annoying.
That ZRA h4 is coming home. And one of the cool things about that h4 idea is I at some point my knight really wants to retreat to e5. Right? I can break the whole thing down to play e5.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm for e5, but rook c8 also looks good.
All right, pole is up.
We got a nice little almost 10-minute advantage. How much time do we get per move, Kosti? We get like 45 seconds or something?
50 seconds. We bumped it up a bit. Yeah, 50 seconds. And rook c8, just to clarify, if white goes e5, we're not worried about that anymore. We just take on g2.
Right.
And the light squares are going to be really dangerous. So, yeah, I guess either move is okay. I think I would probably go for e5 here. It was kind of our idea from before.
Right. And I think after e5, I'm pretty happy about bishop f2. And if I was white, I would want to think about if I could get away with b3.
Right.
I'm not sure I can, but I would want to think about it.
Yeah, b3, e takes d4, and bc?
We also have to say the very obvious, e5,
right.
b3, knight a3, and we can play queen takes c2 and next move too. That's also.
Oh, e5, b3, knight a3. Oh, gotcha.
But that also might be complicated.
Yeah. Yeah, bishop f2 seems like a move. I think knight e3 might be a move, but feels suspicious.
Maybe our goal should be that we want to castle on moves like 30. Right?
It's our secret goal. I mean, so many nice Sicilian games are like that, though. You just castle move 22 and black is better. I think castles should be considered, actually, after, like, bishop f2, but we definitely don't need to. I think our king is safe.
Oh, a move, actually, that he could consider is knight e3.
Yeah, definitely. Not
In
so
fact,
stupid.
That might be my first instinct for white, just to try to get out of this mess a little bit. He plays
Okay, bishop f2. Yeah, now they're entering some time trouble, so they don't really have a lot of leeway here, but we're not far behind, guys, so let's keep it going.
I would like to play h4. If there's nothing wrong with h4, I want to do h4.
Well, how about h4, g takes h4, we take on f4?
Yeah, and then my knight can go back to e5 if you want.
And then is e5 a thing there, or We're safe.
Well, no, I just play knight takes e5.
Yeah. Okay, I agree. I just wanted to make sure.
So, but okay. So the idea, though, with h4, just to be clear, is we're planning something violent like hg, bishop g3, ef, and then bringing our knight to e5 if we need it.
Okay, yeah, so let's say b3, we take on g3, bishop takes g3. We go ef4 there again.
Yeah.
Okay, they can't allow us to take, so bishop takes, knight e5.
There's drama there because we have to worry about the e5s again.
Knight e3 at the end. Knight e3 is bothering me because the knight gets to like
Oh man,
d5 and
God,
f5.
these positions, it never gets easy. So, the first moves that come to mind are rook c8 again,
Yeah.
h4, and potentially castle short. Though I don't like that a lot. Now b3, knight moves, and then knight e3. That would be my concern there.
So rook c8 b3, yeah?
In general, like if we don't do the idea of h4, honestly, is to give my knight a square on e5, and I'm worried that I don't get that square. Oof.
Why are we so anti-castling? Well, yeah, we're trying to follow up on our idea. I mean, we played h5, and
Yeah.
this is very
Okay.
logical.
Okay. H4. What am I afraid of? What are we afraid of after h4?
So the line I wasn't sure about is b3, hg, bishop takes, ef4,
Yeah.
bishop takes, knight e5, knight e3.
That one I feel pretty good about. I was worried about a tactical problem. Let me just see if I can reconstruct. H4, B3, HG, bishop takes, EF, BC, FG, E5.
Oh, this one.
God, that's
Wait. Queen c5 check.
King H1.
And we got rook h3, right?
Okay, King F1.
King f1.
Wow. Then we have
Bishop g2 check.
Queen G2.
Queen g2. We take on c4 also with check.
Oh, wow. Okay. King G1. Oh, and then we can maybe play like knight D5. But then E takes D as a check.
I just feel like we have so many pawns there, and white's king is also weak. I feel like we're... Well, minimum we have like queen c5 check, and we can always... We have checks. So we can repeat until we come up with something else, but...
Okay. So what are you thinking? H4?
I don't see a reason why h4 is bad. So the thing that we're concerned about with rook c8 is what to do after b3 followed by knight e3. That looks a little bit annoying.
Right, exactly. Okay, so let's say H4, Rook C8, and castles are the moves.
Yeah. Yeah, castles
H4.
again, kind of same problem.
H4 definitely what we wanted from the beginning. It's still very, very tactical.
Yeah, we are playing with fire, but honestly, I feel like so is white, because white's king is also opening up. But, we'll come up with something.
That's what the Sicilian player always says.
We'll figure something out.
Woo! Okay, H4 it is, man. Holy smokes. M. Fabian, yeah, Mitch, the rook on A8's always been, there's so many lines where that thing is scary. Absolutely. Now, it is just an important, abstract thing that are developing the rook on h8 now, right? It's like really intense, and there's all kinds of tactical stuff, but the idea is really to knock the bishop off that diagonal so that checks are available, and to develop the rook. And the rook really might do nasty stuff sooner rather than later.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we haven't really explored these lines, but after b3 takes with the bishop on g3, we will have some queen check in that position. Although bishop f2, actually, never mind, is really annoying. So,
You know, another thing, Kose, I just realized it's very comforting to me is that, let's say b3, hg, bishop g3, ef. Not sure about it now.
oh, ef, bishop f4. Okay, we can give check in that position.
And I'm just trying to say, we have another additional threat now of knight h5. So knight h5 is also in a variety of positions. Knight h5 is on the table for us here.
That's true, actually. Yeah, Sunny was trying to point this one out. Takes, knight h5 is an option also.
Now, what I didn't understand there was, let's say, b3, hg, bishop g3, knight h5, bishop h2, and our knight doesn't have necessarily any great square. But maybe even there, just knight a3 and say, buddy, you're dealing with... Oh, that's actually pretty good. That's a good default. So if our other business doesn't work, we can do that.
Yeah, that's a good backup plan.
Because knight a3 would threaten c2, plus the f4 square is just really juicy for us. And one of the great things about us playing e5 is in general, it's going to be up to us to... we get to decide, really, when we allow his e5 now. We're the deciders.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the reason we're not worried about g4, ef4 is because now our knight just comes to e5. And since this square is like an outpost square, like with the d6 pawn, we're just not worried if the e-file is open because it doesn't feel tactically dangerous. Especially, I would say, with white's queen in front of the rook. So we know there's not going to be any queen takes e5 sacrifices. Like there would be maybe if the rook was in front, maybe we'd be worried about some rook takes e5 somewhere. But here with the knight on e5, it feels incredibly secure. I mean, confidence is a thing, guys. It's like a lot of times you might know what the best move is. You might have an intuitive feeling what the best move is, but we're not machines, so we're not going to be able to calculate it out all the way. So I think there is something to believing in your intuition and making the moves that you feel like are principled, even if you're not able to fully justify them with your calculation. Because then once we get there, like 3 moves down the line, we'll have a better perspective on the position, and then we can make the right choice.
Okay, let's do a little calculation while this is happening. So
yeah.
Let's say b3 is the only move that I'm kind of sort of freaked out about, right?
Yeah, only move.
b3.
All right,
there it goes.
Here we go.
First of all, I think we're taking on g3, so let's just do that, and then we're going to figure out our next choice, which I think is either ef or knight h5.
We'll take care, yeah, then we'll decide.
So let's just assume he's going to take it, and then it's knight h5 or
ef4.
ef4.
ef4, the main line, yeah, we were worried about there was just bc taking on g3 and e5.
And that, like, the variation you pointed out, that was pretty tasty. No, I mean, that was definitely really interesting.
A lot of pawns.
There's still question marks I have with that one, though, I gotta say. And let's say with bishop g3, knight h5, bishop h2, if knight a3, then maybe dude just plays fe. And if, right, fe, and if de, then knight e3.
Oh, I see. So that's this one, knight h5, bishop h2, knight a3, take, knight e3. The end there.
That would be our concern.
There, I think we maybe just play g6. just cut the f5 square, defend the knight so we can castle kingside if we really need to. Which probably we do. I don't think we can play the h-file attack and the knight on a3. That seems... it seems really unlikely to succeed.
Oh man, there's so much going on.
Well, let's try to figure out this line since we'll have some time here. So take, bc4, take on g3. e5 is kind of only moved there. We're just up so many pawns.
Yeah, e5. Okay, he did it. Here we go.
Yeah. So e5, I'm thinking we throw in queen c5 check. King h1 is out.
Wait a second here, Costa. I have I think I might have a more basic problem. If we play ef, what about queen c4? Isn't that a problem for us? That might be a big problem for us.
Wait, so take e5. Oh boy.
I think we're in trouble. Yeah.
Wow.
We might have just answered our question. Maybe it's knight h5 is the answer here.
Yeah, it might be only move. Wait, let me double check this. So we don't have any checks because of bishop f2.
Right.
We have to take on c4, bc. We have to take here, e5. Bishop g2 takes on f6 with check, and we're down a piece. Knight d5 not working.
It's a good thing we have this backup knight h5 move, buddy, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we're thinking that is just losing a piece. Queen c4. Wow. That's crazy.
And I guess I don't really see a reason not to play knight h5. Right. I still like our position after knight h5. I gotta say it's really complicated, but I still like our position.
Mm-hmm. And if knight h5, they take on c4 in any way, we just take on g3.
Oh yeah, then we're feeling really good about it.
We're safe.
Yeah.
And do we have any just simple knight moves here with the knight on c4? Worth considering.
I'm not a big fan because it loses a lot of our flexibility.
Yeah. Our idea with knight h5, bishop h2 is to go knight a3 there. Once we got this tempo. Maybe we can think about a queen check also first.
Wow, this is really spicy.
Yeah. I kind of think knight b6 is probably not that bad. Like, if knight e3, we just go g6.
Right, I mean, there's a school of, knight a3 is, especially since knight e3 is going to cover so many of those squares, it's like, dude, are you sure you really want to put it on a3?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, looks like we don't really have too many good options here other than knight h5. So
all right, let's do knight h5. Just do it, buddy. If
Yeah.
we're gonna get bishop h2, he has the advantage of not needing to think on that one.
That's right. Okay, I'll let the poll survive for a bit, just for fun mainly.
Now, I want to say, like he played it instantly, that my initial idea was wrong with my just initial instinct with ef because that queen c4 line.
Yeah, that was surprising. I mean, we wouldn't have expected that one.
Okay, so let's just say that knight b6 is also a move. So let's say that there's some kind of check. There's knight b6. There's knight a3.
Yeah.
And knight b6 is good because it covers d5, and the knight coming back to d7 is never a terrible thing.
Right. Right.
I'm leaning towards knight b6. I don't know what. Just because I don't, knight a3 makes me really worried.
But is there a reason we don't want to throw in the check with queen c5?
What do we get out of it? And could he play queen f2?
Queen f2 maybe. Then e5 will be hanging.
Okay, wait a second. Oh God, this is really intense. Let me just say, knight a3, I have, all kinds of psychological problems with it, but it does force the pawn on f4 to commit. If you go back to knight b6, he could do something else, like, I don't know what, maybe a weird f5 move or something, but not that that worries me, but...
No, I think f5 would be awesome.
f5 would be great for us, absolutely.
Yeah.
Knight a3, though, there's dreams of planting it with knight f4 after. Now, honestly, we could still plant the knight after with knight f4.
Right.
Knight b6, of course, might be a victim eventually to a5.
But then it just helps us to go to d7 and c5. I do agree. I don't really like queen c5 check anymore. I feel like queen f2 could be a problem.
Okay, let's do a vote between knight a3 and knight b6.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have to start tempoing it up here.
Yeah, once we get to, I think, 5 minutes, we'll start doing some more informal polls where come up with some moves, see what the chat is feeling, and yeah, take it from there.
Oh, our knight might really get sidelined on a3. Oh man, I don't know. This one, I might even abstain. Like...
You don't want any responsibility. Yeah, and then afterwards, guys, we're gonna go through the chat and see who voted for what. We'll see who's to blame.
Oh, I just have a simple thought. I'm just gonna gut call for 2. Knight a3, fe. We can consider knight c2, my friends. That is a legal move.
It's true.
Knight a3, fe forced, knight c2. If ed, then we have a check. You take your pick which one you want. If rook c1, we have a check on b6.
Do have a check there.
Oh, come on, guys. Give us knight a3, man. Oh.
Well, I don't know if we're going to get more votes.
I think knight a3 was the right move. It was like, it's what I wanted, but it was like really hard to play it. I think after knight a3, the guy might have to do knight e3 or something even. Knight a3, if c4, then we take on f4 and we win the battle of the dark squares in all the battles. And the knight doesn't have any good squares. And our rook is out on h8.
Honestly, I'm still not even sure there, because the knight on a3 is just going to be like... Just feels like it's just going to be stranded.
No, let's say we're winning some of the initiative against the king is the deal. It's true, the knight's out.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with knight b6. This was
okay.
a tight vote.
Oh,
but no, I definitely see what you're saying. I mean, I think, yeah, if you had suggested that maybe a minute earlier, it would have affected the vote more. But right. A lot of people already kind of voted. But it's sharp. Yeah.
So now I think the critical variation, right, is fe, de, knight e3.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I don't even think the guy should think too long about that. And then after that, we've got a wide variety of moves. We could even consider castling long. It's not the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Right? Because knight f4 will come.
No, I think we should strongly consider that, actually. Because now, game is low time, things are sharp. We can't play perfect chess anymore. We just gotta...
And we gotta worry about a5. Okay, so we're doing DE, right?
Let's take... Yeah, no other options.
So on knight e3, we're gonna have castles long. We're gonna have knight f4 as a move. Actually, the guy could also play a5 now. That totally reasonable move for him.
Mm-hmm.
In general, I think it's a bonus for us because our knight on b6, it's like it's just fun. It is a funny piece for us.
Yeah, things are getting risky. Things are getting risky.
Okay, how about this, Kostya? Knight e3, knight f4, bishop takes ef, knight d5, and then we're going to take it with something like the knight. Knight takes d5.
Well, we don't have to. We have a queen c5 check. We can avoid it.
Good point. Okay, good. Good.
Yeah, knight f4 actually.
It's definitely a thought. I mean, we want that dark square bishop.
Yeah.
Man, this is hot.
Okay, knight e3.
Okay, so we had, as our options, we have knight f4, queen c5 is even a move now. c5 is a move right now.
Guess queen c5, I don't get what we get after king h1.
We're just not going to get hit with an... Like you said, we're probably on knight d5. We're going to play queen c5 anyway.
That's true.
So I just wanted to mention it. And on castles long, I'm a little concerned what's going on with a5, but I have a feeling that's playable as well.
Yeah, a5, and then some knight c4 stuff. Well, lines are closed, so it's not
Right.
not too dangerous.
Well, let's do a vote. Castles long, knight f4. Any other things we should consider?
King f8 is not bad from IC.
Huh?
Okay.
Let's put that on the list. And we do have to be quick about it.
Yeah. But I don't see a real problem with knight f4, to be honest. I mean, it's with tempo, guys, so I understand your concerns that our king is on e8, but queen on e2 is hanging with checks. White is going to have to deal with this in a very specific way. I was looking at queen g4, but it doesn't feel very dangerous to me. I think we can just take on g2 and keep going from there. So I think knight f4. We're getting a bishop, guys. We're getting our bishop back. And we wanted this from the start. We wanted to trade the bishops. I think it's going to be fun. If knight f5 there, I think we're going to go g6. And the knight doesn't have any good moves.
I think the key variation is knight f4, bishop takes ef, knight d5.
Mm-hmm. So,
and then I like your check.
Check. King h1.
Or h2.
Or h2, yeah, that's fair.
And
then just castle kingside?
Well, your pawn, the pawn is hanging on f4.
Yeah, I was just thinking if the king is on h2, then queen e5.
That's probably fair, okay. So, right, he'll have a big choice after... Well, he has a big choice right now, but just intuitively, I think knight d5 is his move to hurt us.
Feels like the move, yeah.
And let's say something obvious, like structurally, we are now better.
Right.
That pawn and c, if any kind of endgame happens, we're looking pretty good. So even let's say knight d5, knight takes, pawn takes, king f8. That's, if for whatever reason we have nothing else, that's a plausible variation for us.
Yeah, the king is going to be safe on f8.
Okay, there it comes, knight d5. Poof.
So our two options are queen c5 and knight takes d5.
What I like about queen c5 is it puts him at a choice of queen f2, king h2, king h1. And knight takes d5, he definitely has compensation in the form of our king being funny. No question about that.
Right.
I'm going to go with queen c5.
Yeah, I like the check. I like the idea of getting another endgame against these guys.
Yeah, that's queen c5.
Let's give them the option. My guess is we're going to see king h1.
Now, the drama with knight takes d5, I want to say, is not just our king going to f8, but that his bishop on g2 starts looking better than our bishop on e7.
Right. It's kind of a bummer.
This is a big choice for the kid.
We could consider giving up the bishop, but then the knight just feels like such a flimsy piece in this position. Like it's not getting to e3.
There's definitely positions where we can give up the bishop. If, for example, if queen f2, we can go to that endgame if we want. We can give up the bishop there.
Yeah. If the king is safe, then we just play like king d7, bring the knight to d6 or something, or knight d7.
On king h1, we need to make a call on king h1. I'm with you that on king h2, I feel reasonable about the queen e5 is going to save our skin in those positions. Though even there, it might be a little... there might be some question marks there too.
Yeah. I mean, there's g5. White might go like queen g4 after queen e5. But yeah, to me, it just looks like we have a ton of positional compensation there and so much pressure that is just worth it given the time situation. We just go like rook c8, rook e8, and all of our moves are like kind of obvious.
Actually, let's just say that this rook c8 is a really nice... I mean, at any point here, even like king h1, rook c8, what are you going to do to me? That's not
true.
Clear.
Yeah. What are you going to do, chat?
Okay, queen f2. I guess now we take it. That one's forced.
Taking looks forced. King f2.
And then we do have an interesting choice. Unless he has something good, we are now better, officially. Like, bishop d5 and knight d5 look good unless he has something dramatic. And I'm not seeing it yet.
Right, because we got g5 coming.
And rook c8's coming.
Yeah.
And he's got weakened pawns everywhere.
Okay.
Okay, so
let's vote.
So, it's those two, right? Knight d5 or bishop d5. We don't have anything else.
Yeah. Now, which piece do we want to keep on the board? I kind of feel like...
Let's take the knight with the knight, I guess. That's the obvious one.
So you like keeping the bishop?
Well, both of them honestly look like advantages to me, but it's a little more tricky with the bishop because maybe our knight's going to get fumbled.
Yeah.
Fumbled about.
Right, fair enough.
All right, I'll vote for the knight too. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. It looks pretty overwhelming.
And then I think ED we're playing king d7, right?
Yeah, I think
king d7. I think that one's a no-brainer.
Okay, yeah, d6 we take on g2, and we'll have time to contest the e-file.
Oh, did we miss rook e4, buddy?
Rook e4?
Did we miss rook e4?
Why is rook e... Oh, rook e4. Uh-oh.
Okay, rook e4, we have rook c8. But it's still, maybe he just defends it, and then... Oh my god, I can't believe this is all my fault. Oh, I can't believe I did this to us.
Yeah, I mean, no one saw rook e4.
I did. I did it afterwards. Okay, rook e4, we need some good moves, family. Yes.
Bummer. Okay, we can't take because of rook d4.
Right.
So we have rook c8. Let's see.
After rook c1, I'm not sure we're doing anything, but it's nevertheless at least. Okay, I want to say that even if things have gone wrong on rook c8, rook c1, a5, rook f4, f6, we still have reasonable compensation for the pawn.
We got compensation there.
Alright.
Yeah.
Oh, guys, I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, me too.
Man.
And if we had taken with the...
It would have been a similar thing, honestly.
But we didn't
totally
have to
would've
put the
turned
king
it.
on d7. We could have put the king on f8.
I don't know. Yeah, but I mean, there's disadvantages to f8 too.
Right. But then I feel like we might get... Well, it's too late now. Do we have a move other than rook c8?
You know, one cool thing about rook c8, rook c1 is maybe we can throw in f3, then a rook b4. Man, no, we could go rook c8, rook c1, f3. If rook b4, then we can play bishop d5.
Yeah, that's fine. So f3 takes, and then we go...
But if he takes with the bishop, we cannot play rook h3 because of bishop g4.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, then we can't even play a5. So we... Okay, let me put rook c8 on the board. I didn't see any other suggestions. Rook c1,
Man.
thinking a5. Well, f3, they were still taking bishop takes f3. So I don't see the advantage there. Do we get draws? Yeah, no draws, Sunny. Okay,
All right, I
rook
think we're just
c1.
playing a5.
Just a5, right? Yeah, we can't take on h3, unfortunately, because bishop g4. Okay.
And we have pretty simple goals, like we're going to say our king is better and our rooks, we're going to claim our rooks are also better. So rook f4, f6 is forced unless I'm missing something. And our pieces, we have compensation. It's very upsetting though because I thought we were better.
I think there's still some winning chances. You know, if we imagine takes f6, then one day we put the rook on e8, we play king d6, we trade one pair of rooks and we go rook e5, we pick up this pawn, and then we're better.
Yeah, I think we're worse here, buddy. I think rook f4, f6, rook c4 is a nice move.
No, they don't find that. No way. Rook c4. Take rook c8.
And then bishop f1. All right, play f6.
Yeah. Then we have bishop a6 there.
Then c5 or something. Or I don't know. Oh, I don't know. I admit it's not clear to me.
Yeah.
So the guy has two weird rooks, and we have the simple plan of king d6. Maybe rook h5 is going to be a good move. Rook c3 is a good move. Rook c5. We have a lot of building coming up. And of course, if the pawn... One way to read the position, too, where he has to be careful is the pawn on d5 is, at least for the moment, dead. Right? It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, I feel like we have really reasonable chances the more I look at it. I mean, it's just like a lot of weaknesses for white. And we have very few. I mean, really difficult for white to attack the a5 pawn. I don't see a good way for white to attack g7. Like if rook g4, we just play g5 and the rook is going to feel really awkward. And we have just like rook c3, rook c8 ideas. Maybe I'm just optimistic because that's how I've learned to be. I think in chess you always have to be a little bit optimistic. You know, if you start turtling like king d8, you know, and just trying to like defend, then of course we lose. I would expect h4 here. I think this is coming from white.
Good move. Okay. Then we have either king d6 or
rook c3, yeah.
Rook c3, maybe rook g4 is a little griefy. I would say h4, king d6 is my first thought there.
Mm-hmm. We're not really threatening to take on we're kind of threatening to take on d5 actually, because we can defend with rook c5 and rook h5.
Right.
But it will be, it'll be something to calculate. No, I don't think the position's easy for white, to be honest. I think because now it's like, oh, are we better? They might think they're better. Extra pawn. I probably would if I had white. And yeah, now they don't know what to play for.
Well, they should be very happy that they're not lost. I mean, or worse, because I thought we were. I mean, going into that endgame, if we didn't blunder rook e4, or as Kosti likes to say, if we didn't forget rook e4, we would be much, much better.
Yeah, things would have been real comfy there. But, it's never comfy against these guys. Somehow it's just never such tricksters.
Now, one thing that happened that was to their benefit was they had a number of moves where they didn't have to think too much.
Yeah.
Now, this move, they've really got to... Yeah, I mean, this one's not an easy decision for them.
Yeah, they have a huge choice.
Yeah.
Rook g4, it's possible. If g5, h4, we're not going to take with the rook. Then takes, bishop h3. It's a nice trick. But maybe we can just take with the pawn. And next we put the king on d6.
That was very clever, though. That's definitely something they should consider. Rook g4, g5, h4. Very clever.
Oh, I'm sorry, rook g7. Oh, whoops, that's winning the bishop.
Yeah.
Oh, so we can't take.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
So
move point.
we
Move
did not
point.
do that. Move point. King d6. We play it. We don't even think about it.
Indeed. Well, let me give the chat, because a lot of times they forget what we calculated before. So we had a choice between king d6 and rook c3, but then we realized that if rook c3, rook g4, that's unpleasant, and we realized king d6 is a better move. So if anyone has any, we have a little bit of time here. If anyone has any huge reservations about king d6, speak now or forever hold your peace. And if we do come up with something, we'll put it to a vote. But otherwise,
That rook g4 move was really nasty. I'm glad we didn't face that. Yeah, king d6.
yeah. And then if rook g4, we can play rook c7 if we want to, and keep the bind. Because we hold on to this pawn and then we keep an eye on this one, so we're not like trading weaknesses. Okay, king d6 it is.
Let's hold that 4-minute advantage, Kostya. We're going to need it, buddy. We're going to have something that we're going to have to think deep about.
Yeah. Well, if you remember the second game that we won, I mean, we were better in that end game, but it was pretty unclear. I think they had to make a couple of mistakes for us to actually like win it.
Now, let's just say the obvious. The thing that white should be dreaming of is to land rook e6 at some nice moment.
Yeah, totally.
It's not clear to me how it happens, but that I think is the dream. Bishop h3 I think is just bad because I can play rook c3, bishop e6, bishop d5. And that looks good, I think. Oh my god, there's question marks there too, but in general I'm not afraid of that.
Yeah, because then this bishop is hanging. Also some funny g5 ideas there to open up the second rook.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think bishop h3 is not a concern. Yeah, this is just hanging over white. I mean, this pawn is hanging with check. It's so difficult to have to give it up. And this one is just going to be passive for a while.
Ooh.
So if rook e4, we were thinking we can just take, right? Rook d4, rook h5.
Definitely thought, I think after rook e4, a rook to e8 is also totally plausible.
Yeah. But I feel like we're just putting both rooks on the 5th rank and then we're going to unpin.
Fair enough, but you know what? That pawn is ours. That pawn, I mean, the only thing about that pawn is it has some dynamic possibilities with like a rook e6, but otherwise it's just like the c2 pawn, it's kind of just dead weight.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, guys, I think it's a like unofficial rule in chess, but the higher rated you get, the longer you wait until you capture a free pawn.
Well, also, let's just say the king in the endgame, the
Mm.
defender's king activity behind the pawn is perfect.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
rook
huge.
d4. I'm saying rook c7. If you
Rook
guys see
c7.
anything else, tell me
Yeah,
about it.
let's think about some other options here. We don't want rook h7 because the rook on c7 is a lot more flexible than the rook on h7. Like, we don't lose anything by putting the rook on c7. It's still hitting the c pawn. It's still threatening to go to e7 if we need. Rook h7
Rook
loses
c7.
a lot of flexibility.
All right, I'll vote for rook c7. I'll take a little break.
All right, and if we take on d5, then I think we're just trading off weaknesses, and this is not what we want because our g pawn is strong potentially. Like, it might be protecting the f pawn, and the d5 pawn is ours whenever we want. So looks like, okay, the chat wants rook c7. Yeah, I think we'll just start doing more informal votes. If you guys feel strongly about another move, make yourselves heard. So let's go with this one. Probably try to stick it to 1 minute or 50 seconds per move if we can, so we can just play on the increment and keep a little time bank in case we need to calculate something for a couple minutes. Ooh, this time runs down so fast. But now they're under 3 minutes, so this is tough for them. They're gonna have to come up with moves quickly. Okay, another obvious thing, as Jesse likes to say, is that any kind of king and pawn endgame where we pick up the d pawn is probably going to be really good for black just because of the protected passer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, these long-term advantages do start to play in at some point.
Yeah, and unless rook g4 did something special, then we have to say that it was superficial, right? Because rook c7 was an improvement, not only potentially doubling, but also okay, king g3, very strange move. Very strange move.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to hold on to the pawn so the rook can move, but it does open up so many rook c3 ideas.
Right. Okay, so let's just say that we've got rook e8 is tantalizing, very tantalizing. Rook h5 is tantalizing.
I like rook h5. Yeah. Now, I'm pretty sure we could take on d5, but I agree that we shouldn't. We should just wait.
Yeah. Now, rook... Okay, so maybe the drama of rook e8 is you're allowing h5? Maybe?
Right. That's what I kind of don't want to allow.
Okay, and let's just say that a dream of king g3 is that maybe at some point the guy comes and invades, like to g6. That could be a dream of white's here.
Yeah. Okay, we have suggestion for bishop c8. But
that's a thought. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so the rook goes to g6, then we have some maybe rook c3 checks, and we can even think about taking on h4. But if bishop c8, rook goes to... Oh, bishop f5 also. Nice one. Nice one, guys. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, but let's say rook goes to f4 or d4. I guess we have check and then maybe even king e5, but I don't know. I feel like bishop c8, you know, we do want to take this pawn at some point, so we're kind of moving away from that. Like rook c3, okay, king goes to f2, and then what's the plan?
One cool thing about rook h5 is it's not clear what its next move is. Not clear.
Yeah, rook h5. Maybe rook e1.
Yeah, rook e1, good. Rook e1 actually might be kind of a thing, you know.
Then we finally take on d5.
Yeah. I take on d5. Thank you very much. And rook c3 and the whole rook c3 / rook c2 after the check is a pretty real deal.
Right. Okay, I'm gonna put up a vote between rook h5 and rook e8. If rook h5, c4, I think we just take on passant. What was the idea there?
Probably rook c4. It's interesting.
Rook c4. I think we
That's
take
an
on.
interesting idea.
I think we take on d5. Should be okay. Oh,
Yeah.
Sonny wanted b4. I think this a pawn is going to be really slow.
Yeah, I do too.
All right. The chat is pretty unanimous. I like this one. I just like it in spirit. Just feels like we're doing what our pieces want us to do. We're keeping everything flexible.
Oh,
Not giving the opponent easy moves.
Yeah, he needs a tactical blow.
Like a c4. Yeah.
Like a c4, exactly.
Right.
And also some kind of, at some point, a king g4. At some point, to, like, disrupt our business over there.
Mm-hmm. But now I think they're struggling, because now they have to, like, every move they have to think, okay, are we just giving up the d5 pawn? Are we trying to hold on to it? How can we get counterplay around that? Yeah.
The ideas of bishop c8 aren't dumb.
Oh, for sure.
At some point, we can play that. Is rook c4 a move for the guy now? Maybe rook c4 is an interesting move. One good news about, well, yeah.
I think bishop takes d5, and then if rook d1, just like rook c5.
Right, and there we're just playing with this overwhelming sense that we are just better in all pawn endings, even if he gets to win 1,000 tempi getting there, you know?
Yeah, no, every pawn endgame, every rook endgame, bishop endgame, I think they're all good. Okay, rook d4.
Okay, which is passive.
Yeah, we're happy to see that.
And we've got several moves here. Rook e5
Yeah.
is a very simple and strong move. That's the first one that comes to my mind.
Can also give a check just to see where they go.
What you mean with rook c3?
Yeah, because king g4, I don't think they can do that because of like bishop c8.
Well, we can't play bishops, but
oh, I'm sorry, rook is hanging. Yeah.
But eventually, it is a problem. Like rook,
right?
Rook c3. Oh, dude, let's play rook c3. Yeah, I mean, there's no point in not playing rook c3, and then we don't have to worry about the weird c4s of the world. We might be worried about. Are we worried about rook d3? No. At the worst case scenario, I take on d3 and take on d5.
Right.
All right, I'm going to vote for rook c3. Man. Oh, it's really annoying for the guy. Where is he supposed to go after rook c3? Oh, rook c3, man. That's a really annoying move to face.
What do you guys think in the chat? Rook c3 looks good?
Rook c3.
Why would we want rook e5 first? Is there any reason? I don't really see one.
No, rook c3. Yeah.
Okay.
It was funny. I was against them. My first intuition was just like the guy has to have something in mind for rook c3. It's just because it's the obvious move after we don't have to deal with g7 anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Now this one is not hanging over our heads.
So on king h2, the guy's got to worry about g5.
Yeah.
On f2, he's got to worry about rook f5. Just an hour later, and assuming that's probably what he's got to do. Okay, king f2. Let's pause for a second and find a good move here. So one simple way to play chess would be to play rook f5, king g1, rook e5.
Yeah, and threatening this one. And I mean, can I ask what happens if bishop takes d5 here?
Totally, because there's no more rook d1.
Yeah, just because c2 is hanging with check. Yeah. So before we give rook f5.
Oh, good. Yeah, so very good point. Bishop d5 looks very strong, and then I'm just threatening like king c5.
Right. Yeah, we just unpin and then we start piling on.
Oh, this looks very good, Kostya. This looks very good.
All right, I'll let people vote. You guys want to take the pawn? We finally think it's okay, or play the master style with rook f5 check and just keep.
No, I honestly, it was just like I didn't know what he was doing after rook f5, but after bishop d5, we just have a very clear reason to put it there, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then we start threatening stuff like rook f5 check, king g1, rook g3. The bishop on d5. And if rook d1, we snag this pawn. Oh yeah, we were even taking. I thought we were like going back to c5 and we're safe, but yeah, we're just taking. Okay, let's take this pawn. I think the rook endgame is just finished. So if white trades everything here, it's going to be really, really bad.
Well, I mean, the hope for the guy would be he has some building move right now before we play king c5, right? That's got to be his hope. Otherwise, it's just like... And rook f5 is a threat because it'll be rook f5, king g1, rook g3.
Yeah.
And of course, king c5 is a simple threat too. Maybe, I mean, rook g4 is a really weird move to play. So I don't even know. I mean, you know, it's silly to move away from the pawn like that. It's funny we had to blunder to get this ending.
That's so true.
It all worked out. We just need to get an ending every time against ChessPatzerUK. That's all we need.
Just gotta go for the endgame right from the opening.
Yeah, that's a bummer for the guy. Rook g4 as expected. Okay, we should now be looking to finish the guy off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Is there any reason not to trade bishops? There is bishop b3. Okay. Good call.
When you said bishop e6, you mean, or something?
No, taking the pawn.
Oh, bishop b3, yeah. But then rook d1. Check.
Yeah, it's
a
little
then
annoying.
Bishop d5.
And then
Then
back.
bishop d5. Then bishop d5. Oh my god, bishop b3. I didn't even consider it.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hardcore move, man. That's actually pretty serious.
I mean, it might work if rook g7, we take on c2 with the rook, and we get the bishop to c2, and then the b pawn is really strong, with the bishop on c2 already in perfect position. So that might just be over.
So imagine bishop b3, rook d1, bishop d5, rook d2.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we just play king c5 there.
King c5, yeah.
Right, and yeah, no, I assume that's winning.
Okay, guys, let's vote in the chat. I mean, bishop b3. I'm not 100% sure, but it does look good.
it's the man's move, bishop b3.
What would be the safe move, like rook f5 and then g5?
Honestly, even if we pass here, we're winning this position, right?
True.
But bishop b3 is on principle the right move, so I think we should do it. You have bishop d5, but you mean bishop b3. So let's just say that.
Oh yeah, sorry, this is the old poll. Right. So yeah, we're down on time, so just write your move in the chat and we'll see.
All right.
Takes b3. Looks like we're getting away with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very juicy pawn.
I can't believe you called it a man's move. I'm like, well, now I gotta play it.
It really is a man's move, though, man. It's like, oh my god. And
I wasn't. It wasn't even on my radar, just because the position was already so pleasant. But
Yeah.
this is definitely like the move to knock him out. Bishop d5 is forced, so
Yeah,
let's do
bishop
that right
d5.
away. And there's no rook d4 because of rook c2. So I was assuming rook d2 was his main move. Then we'll probably have, we have. I think we have several moves after that.
After rook d2.
After, because we have rook f5, and king c5 is just. King c5 is the very natural move. It's hard to imagine that that's not correct.
Well, let's say rook d2, king c5, rook takes g7.
Then bishop g2.
Bishop g2. Say king takes.
And rook h4.
Just rook h4. Yeah.
There's still a little drama in the business there. It's true, but the nice thing is we're just punishing him with the c2 weakness.
Also, rook f5 check and then g5. Then h5 is a little annoying. I'm not sure we want to allow that. Okay, so we have king c5. We can go rook c7 if we want. Just keep everything stable.
Oh, that's true. Rook c7. That's cold.
So rook c7. Only thing I was thinking here is white goes rook d4, rook c5, and then back to g4.
But that's not.
Then we're rook on c5. We can go g5 there in that position. Okay.
So rook c5 is very good too, or rook c7 rather.
Yeah, let's vote between rook c7 and king c5. Rook c7, I don't see a drawback here.
Rook c7 is also a man's move. It's just like, I've got everything. I'm not giving you anything. I think rook c7 is correct if we can do it. Yeah, we're playing the ambitious macho rook endgame right now. We're playing the macho.
Is rook c7 ambitious? To me, that looks just like super
That's
solid.
a macho. Because king c5 would relieve the tension.
I see.
Right? But rook c7 maintains the structural power of our connected pawns rather than trading.
Okay, got a bunch of votes for rook c7. Let's do that.
All right, rook c7.
A few votes there for king c5 too, but I think both moves are probably good. Yeah, it's great. I mean, a lot of times, the defender escapes in the rook end game, but okay, just going to c5.
Rook c5, yeah.
But here, any rook end game, I think, is really dangerous with the c pawn. Okay, now we have g5.
Wow, g5 is another man's move. Absolutely, yeah. G5 looks good to me, yeah.
G5.
You guys are animals, man. You guys are some angry men. This is some angry chess here.
Oh yeah, no, the G5 party has been around for many moves now. They've been pushing for G5 every election season.
All right, G5, here we go.
But now it makes sense. Yeah, I don't see, because if rook d4 were
just no counterplay for this guy. Nothing.
And we just want to trade pieces, play king c6, and win the game.
Oh,
okay, takes.
Rook d5 is very pleasant.
Rook g5 is...
Oh, rook g5 is very, very pleasant. Oh my god.
Yeah, HG came a little faster, but I guess they just thought no other move.
Well, now they got to trade the rooks. What a bummer.
Yeah. Rook
and
g5
let's say the
seems
obvious,
forced.
even if we didn't have that extra pawn on the king side, we might still be we would still be much better, absolutely, because of our better king, better rook, better pawns, the whole thing.
Yeah, I think even like 2 versus 2 rook endgame with white's king and you are on f2, e2, just like rook c3, rook a3, and game over. I think that's one of the things actually a lot of players will forget about when they are trying to convert a rook endgame, is that even with equal pawns, if your king is like really strong, that could just be a win on the spot. Like if your king gets in on the queen side, game over. So It's always something. Yeah, no, now I'm feeling extremely confident. I obviously don't want to say it's over, but it's like it's getting to that point where like
It's not over, but it's over.
yeah. It's just like it would be very dramatic if we did not pull this one out.
The other macho move coming up for us is to break the pin. We can play king e5 after this rook exchange, however he does it. King e5. Because it looks like rook e2, king d4, rook d2, king c4, some kind of bishop f1 check, king c3, game over. You know, I'm just trying to say, let's get even more macho with our king coming over on the queen side.
I think they're currently in a where did this all go wrong kind of phase.
Well, you know what I'm realizing too? It's dark 30 over there.
It's
right?
late.
I mean, it's late, yeah.
Not as late as the first one, but it's late.
Maybe this ChessPatzerUK, it's all a bunch of night people anyway.
Yeah, I mean they're chess players. I think they're fine.
Man, that, you know, it's funny. I had a feeling that we were going to outplay them in the end game, but it really went downhill fast, didn't it? It was like, you know, sometimes when I tell people, I'm like, the way to improve is the ending. And a lot of times when I'll say things like, you'll be able to outplay people in positions like the one we have. And sometimes I honestly don't even believe it, right? Because it seems like, how could you possibly get a winning position so quickly? But it happens all the time. It's happened so many times in my chess experience that, yeah, I mean, like, we're going to win this endgame.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, for me, the common element seems to be when the structure is kind of like spoiled long term for one side. If they run out of activity, it's just kind of over.
So my sense here was that we might have something more fancy, but rook g4, king e5 looks very strong.
Yeah, I don't think there's any sense in throwing in rook c3 check, just king h4. So I think we're just trading on g4.
Yeah.
And here, what's exactly the point of king e5 versus like king c6?
I want the king to shoulder the white king, and I want to enter onto d4. It's actually going to be very hard for him to stop.
But what are we... I don't get what we're exactly worried about with king c6. Like, how does white...
There's nothing spectacular. It's just going to be... The king e5 is just the more macho move. That's what I said, right? It's the more macho move because we want to get over there.
Yeah, I guess...
we want to get over.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing the difference. What about rook e2 check? Just king d4? Oh, I think this is the line you gave. Rook d2, king c4.
King c4, exactly.
Bishop f1, king c3. Right. Okay, I don't see what's wrong. Let me give you guys a chance to vote. King e5. Macho move versus solid
C6.
king c6.
Are we just typing it in?
Yeah, I think for these, yeah. Just put it in the chat and I'll count. For the most part, it's been pretty one-sided. I think the big choice we had was like that knight a3 versus knight b6. I think that was the closest vote. It was like 8-6. All right, looks like the king e5s have it. Yeah, so no nonsense. Great username, really hard to say. I think our idea is that we're not really worried about holding on to the f pawn. Like, we win this game on the queen side. We're just getting the king to b2, taking this pawn, and winning with the b pawn. So that happens with or without the f pawn.
Right. And that's why I wanted to be macho about it. I want that king over there pronto. Once I get the king over there, it's worth several pawns. I mean, it's worth at least a pawn just to get it over there.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to give him a pawn for it. He ain't no pawns for you, buddy. Nothing.
How many points would you assign the king in terms of like piece value? I mean, like in terms of its strength.
We had a big debate of that one time. We were getting drunk in St. Louis and Vassar, and everybody was like, "It's worth 4," and all this other stuff. And I'll stay with the standard 3 just because the king also has to deal. It can't sack itself. It's actually a big deal that it can't sack itself.
That's true.
It's a major problem that
It's a
people
big
don't
drawback to the king.
take in consideration. Yeah,
So 4 points is too high then, in your opinion?
that's my sense of it. Yeah, it is true though that we get over there to C3 or something. Oh, buddy, that's a real deal.
And it doesn't seem like a practical question because it's not like we can ever trade the king for something. But I think it is important, yeah, because like if you have a piece that's worth 3 points or 4 points, like a bishop, minor piece, knight, king, and you spend 1 point, 1 pawn to then activate that piece so that it's now stronger and worth more, and that is, yeah, absolutely a valid type of trade. Icy's asking, what are we doing for the camp tomorrow? Thank you for the question, Icy. So we are, it's going to be a 3-hour camp total. At the beginning, there's going to be a small group activity, like a, oh, I'm sorry, Rook E2 check is on the board. So we wanted King D4.
4, yeah.
So that looks good. We're just going to play that. So we'll have a quick group activity at the beginning. I think we're expecting to have around 7 to 10 students total. We're probably very likely going to split the students into 2 groups so that there is a lower rated group and a higher rated group. Because we have one player in there that's like 2,100, a couple of club like 17, 1,800 players. I think a few players a little bit lower rated than that too. And then our idea is that I think I'm going to handle the tactics and calculation session for both groups, and then Jesse is going to prepare a nice lesson on strategy and positional chess and whatever Jesse thinks is important to work on with players of this level.
Do you think we could be like a good cop, bad cop kind of duo? Yeah.
I think so. If we get any rowdy participants, I'd be like, guys, come on, you gotta respect the coach and the class, and then Jesse will just come in with the band hammer. Oh, we lost Jesse, but I think he'll be back.
Yeah, I get lost. You know, it happens. I don't know what it is. I googled it and I could not really find a good answer. All right, King C3.
Okay, I'm sensing Rook F2 coming.
Yeah, and on Rook F2 we have several moves, and maybe that's when we'll have to think about it a little bit. But basically, the Rook can't move from F2, and so Bishop C4 is a good move, and I assume Bishop E6 is also a good move.
Yeah.
Bishop E6 looks very strong.
I like Bishop E6, just kicking the king back. And okay, we can play F5 if we want. We're allowed, just because we said we don't need this pawn doesn't mean...
But the value of Bishop C4, I want to say, is that...
well, that goes Bishop G2. And then
there's
I don't
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
So just Bishop E6 is fine, sure. Let him answer that question. The poor guy has to go back.
What about Bishop E4?
I'm certain that's a very macho move as well. You're just full of them. That's a very macho move, man. Slow it down, man. Slow it down. Bishop E4, holy smokes, that's amazing. You know, his position's truly terrible. The other thing we could do is play Bishop E6, king moves, and then Bishop F5, and then it's like we get the same thing, but no pawn for you.
Oh, we don't even give the pawn. Wow. No, I think yeah, we now have a lot of, like, Bishop C6 I'm sure is good. Because white can't really take on F6, we're taking on C2. F5 check is probably good too. And then, like, Bishop B3.
Yeah, Bishop, all those moves are violent. I guess I'm tending towards Bishop E6, F5, but Bishop C6 certainly is just crushing. It's just totally crushing.
Yeah. Well, okay, let me, we have some time. Let me put up another vote here. We'll go with Bishop E6, Bishop C6, and maybe F5.
The nice thing, too, about Bishop E6 is you can still play Bishop D7 with the same ideas. It's not like it's gone anywhere.
Right.
And the king, do I feel a little bit better with him on g3? A little bit. It's not that big of a thing, but you know.
We can even get rook g5 check if we want. Force the king over to the h file because white doesn't want to trade.
I mean, bishop e6 is also the move just to torment the guy because it's clear, you know, we can just give all kinds of nasty checks. He can't do anything about it. Oh, yeah. It's pretty miserable.
Yeah. So I guess we didn't actually say this, but we both just realized if king f3, then rook f5 check is game over. We trade rooks. We take on c2. But yeah, I don't think that was clear to everyone in the chat. Rook f5 is actually a move. Yeah.
Yeah, I see. Actually, I think Icy's got it. I think that's the one to do.
Actually, rook f5 is.
That's just cleanest. That's just the cleanest.
That's super clean. Now let's just check. I mean, bishop h3. We're taking on f2. And this guy doesn't come with check.
Mm-hmm. Nice move, Icy. That was the easy one. That was easy. That was the nice one.
Yeah. Okay, let me give you guys a second here if anyone has any... Okay, rook e2 is an idea for white. That's fair.
We're just going to take on f1, though. Rook e6, king c2, and then we're going to run.
Everything, yeah. Defended. Pawn is winning. Okay.
Nice move, Icy.
We could throw in rook g5 check. I don't see a big reason not to.
Oh, that's true. That's true, actually. Rook g5, you could throw that in.
So that rook g5 is on the table as well.
Actually, let's just say rook g5 is the more manly move. We're still gonna do Icy's idea though. It's just the same idea.
Yeah, it's just it's like insurance. It's like, okay, we kick the king even one step further.
It's like humiliation. It's just like a little bit of humiliation on top of everything else that's gone down.
That's true. Yeah. Okay, so I see a couple votes for rook g5.
Yeah, let's go rook g5.
And the thing is, like, yeah, white can never put the king on the f file because of rook f5, and then we trade rooks. We take rook g5 might be a resignation move. We'll see. Maybe rook f5 will be.
Yeah. After this, they might have to watch your vid, dude, about if they should resign, when they need to resign. The grandmaster way to resign.
Yeah, it's so funny. I do think in terms of, like, when you have a winning position, a lot of players think, okay, if you just play the crushing move, the opponent will resign. I don't think that's true. I think if you play the move that, like, kills all of their counterplay, that's a better... it's a better reason for the opponent to resign when you just like take away all of their hope. Because if you make some crazy sack, you know, that wins the game, there's always hope like, okay, maybe the sack doesn't work and they'll play on. But if you just kind of strangle them to death, then they, yeah, usually resign.
Kosi, while we're waiting here, where did it get out of control? Because I feel like we had a very nice position. And maybe I was overly optimistic, but after bishop e3, I felt like we should be better, and then it got out of control.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm gonna play rook f5. I think we're all we're all on board here. Hold on. First of all, for the record, I was never worried after rook e4. I was always like, hold on, there's some... Like...
But I felt like he was at least equal after rook e4.
Okay, fair enough.
And the problem that I felt was that before, I felt like we were better. And maybe that was just incorrect. You know? Maybe that was just incorrect.
Yeah, maybe we missed something concrete. It's possible back on move 15 that, like, you know, queen b6 concretely was working, which could have been good. Mm-hmm.
One thing that surprised us was that queen c5, queen f2 was playable for him. I think we all felt like, no, you can't do that. But it turns out, since we have to take the knight, whether it's with the knight or the bishop, we're going to have grief.
Yeah.
Because of rook e4. So that was a key miss on our part. That rook e4 is already in the cards when we play queen c5, and we might not have a better if we take the knight on d5 instead of queen c5, it's also true that he has at least some initiative, right?
Mm-hmm.
Huh, okay, so that all. Oh, maybe the one key thing with the computer will be like, will he say knight a3
That,
instead of knight
yeah.
b6? I have a feeling that might be one of the key decision points.
Knight a3.
All
Okay,
right,
guys, we
buddy,
won the
we
game.
won. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, nice job, everyone. And good game to ChessPatzer. I love that they resigned on move 50. That's so awesome. It was a 50-50 game, and
Yeah.
they resigned on move 50. Yeah, nice game, everyone. Nice game to ChessPatzer. Definitely really tough. Like, I mean, we obviously missed a lot of ideas. It was not a clean game by any stretch of the imagination. But it was fun, and we were all in it together, and that was kind of the point.
Let's just put it in perspective. We pushed Harry the H-pawn against the acolytes of Simon Williams.
That's true.
That's what we did.
Oh, and they're now rating us. That's awesome. Yeah, it's getting late over there. I don't think we'll be sticking around for too long because I've got another class. But yeah, let's hang out for a sec, see if they join the chat. Nice game, guys.
Let's look at knight a3 instead of knight b6.
Yeah, I guess that was our big decision here. We just didn't have a lot of time for it, to be honest. But yeah, we were really considering this one. We got Adam Hunt in the chat. Hey, Adam.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Adam Hunt. Me and Adam Hunt go way back. Way back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we played on the same team in this little. It was called Cowley outside of Oxford. Way back in the day with his sister. Way back in the day. Before. When were you born, Costa? When were you born, buddy?
92.
So yeah, when you were one. When you were 1 year old, I was playing with Adam Hunt at the Cowley Chess Club with Lester Millen, who is this great, cool English dude, as like the team captain. That was back in the day. Anyways, knight a3 to me seems like kind of a big question there, and I don't know. I don't have any clear answers. Like even like knight e3 there or c4. That knight a3, it's controversial for sure, but it's not going to get lost. And we are going to win the dark squares if like c4, knight f4. So, yeah.
I still have no idea. It looks really complicated. Adam's saying they were thinking about rook c1 here.
Good. I think that's plausible. And then we would play knight f4.
Mm-hmm. Probably take. It's nice that we got the e3 square. Still, e5 is kind of dangerous, right?
Yeah, e5's all kinds of stuff. Is still scary.
Oh boy.
I believe in this position for black, but like these Sicilian players, that's how they roll, right? That's how they roll when they play this game.
Yeah. Sunny wants to know if we can look at bishop c5 in the opening. Yeah, I think it's an okay move. I guess I'll curious about. I mean, we were really concerned about this for a little while, and we thought we have to go queen takes e5, bishop f4, and like queen d4.
Oh, that scared the bejesus out of me. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there still knight d6 check? And then we would have to play this.
King e7 or f.
Maybe king e7, yeah. Then okay, now if queen e2. No, we're taking on f2.
Yeah,
Oh, but I think IC was saying here. Oh, knight f5. Yeah, on king e7. Right. But yeah, so king would have to go to f8. Maybe white goes queen e2 here. Oof.
Yeah, I like that queen e2 earlier. That looks really dangerous.
Yeah.
Really, really dangerous. maybe I'm still alive with like bishop e7 or some nasty move, but it's not what I want. No, not what Jesse wanted at all. That looks terrible.
So yeah, maybe we needed to play like knight e5 here.
Diags, thank you. I like Diags. That's a cool name.
The knight e5 f4. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the theory is here. Something to look at. We're definitely going to do a video on this game. I don't know if Jesse, if you want to do it, or I can do it, but I think we'll analyze this one a little bit deeper to uncover some of the points like that we didn't consider during the match. I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, definitely the kind of spicy chess that I played when I was with Adam Hunt at Cowley. I would be playing the again, and I would just be getting either mated or winning some weird position.
And do you miss it?
No, I became an IM, and then almost immediately after I stopped playing the Sicilian. Almost immediately after I stopped playing the Sicilian. That was all I needed to do, is just stop playing it.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I don't know if h5 was too... I mean, it's a line, so I feel like it's an ambitious line, but I think it is definitely not a losing line. But hey, thank you all who followed the channel just now, and if you guys haven't followed ChessPatzerUK's channel, they do a lot of fun events like this. I've seen them do like sub battles, and they played a match against Simon Williams and all that stuff. So if you guys are fans, make sure to go follow them as well, and give them a chance. I know they've been our opponents for our entire existence, but they are good people over there. I'm sure their streams are entertaining.
That's right.
As well. I believe JT, the main guy there, he's like around expert or 2200 level or so. So pretty decent player.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta run.
Same. You take care, Jesse. I'll finish up the show, plug some stuff. We've got a camp.
Yeah, we got to camp, everybody. Camp
tomorrow that Jesse and I are doing. You can check out the full details and register at the link below. Unless you don't have like a USCF rating, and if you still want to register, that's fine. You just can't do it at that site. Send me a message on Discord and we can register you. And if you're not on our Discord yet, then make sure to join if you haven't already. ChessDojo, that's where the dojo lives and exists. That's where people can find training partners and share games and puzzles and all kinds of stuff. We also have a YouTube channel now and a Patreon page if you guys want to support the channel so we can do more streams like this all the time and all get better at chess together. You can support us on Patreon as well for a couple of extra bonuses for subscribers. Alright guys, thanks everyone for tuning in. I'm gonna go find someone to raid real quick.
All right, everybody. I'm going to check out. Bye.
Bye, Jesse. All right, let's see. Wow, a lot of people doing stuff. All right, let's see. Wow, a lot of people. Oh, and the echo is there. Okay, let's raid our good old friend Josh Friedel once again. He's been kind of our like brother streamer. Looks like he's playing a 960 titled arena, so that's kind of exciting. We'll see what that's all about. And yeah, thanks to all to join in. Pass Pawn, join the ChessDojo Discord. I mean, I figured you were there already, and you should be able to find me on there. I'm just Hello Kostia and send me a message. Yeah, some of the channels are private, but most of the ChessDojo channels are public, so you should be able to chat there. And also you can click on my username and send me a direct message. Yeah, exactly, and then we can figure it out. All right, guys, thanks to all who tuned in. Catch you guys next time. Take care.
But I have to play fast, guys.